Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. It is 2026. Can you believe that? Holy cow. So I can explain. I have a lot to explain. First and foremost, Exes, where have you been? Okay. So I'm going to explain where I've been. And then I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes of today's topics. So for the past 2 weeks, it was Christmas week and then it was New Year's Eve week. And I was busy. I'm not gonna lie. I was busy. I made a huge Christmas dinner. And I think the week of New Year's, I couldn't stream on Tuesday because I had really bad allergies that caused me to be like really sick. And I just thought, okay, so this is like still in limbo of vacation. I'm not gonna show up to stream. So I apologize, guys. Sorry for that, but I'm here now. I'm here now with you guys. I'm here now with you guys, and I'm feasting on Dino. Okay, hold on. Dino Nuggies. Dino Nuggies. Okay. I have meals in the fridge, but I'm not eating them yet. And I just need something quick to eat while I yap to you guys, and Dino Nuggies were here. So yeah. We ate really good for Christmas. I made a Chinese, not really a Chinese feast, but like an Asian feast. So I made lumpia, fried wontons, orange chicken, um, honey walnut shrimp, and I made something else too. Oh, we got Korean barbecue chicken from this place we really like called BBQ Chicken. So I think the top foods that I made were the lumpia, the wontons, the honey walnut shrimp, and the fried rice too, and orange chicken. And then we just got Korean barbecue fried chicken from this place. That's really good, very popular in the Atlanta area, greater Atlanta area. So we just did that. And it was a very cozy Christmas. I really liked it. Um, and then for New Year's, we didn't do too much. I made cookies. I made cookies for Christmas and New Year's. I have this bomb sugar cookie recipe that I am in love with. And I realized that the secret to having your cookies taste so good is actually not in like the specific type of flour that you're using, or how much flour you're using, or whether you're using like granulated sugar. No, it actually is in the extract. And so for my sugar cookie recipe, I like to add vanilla extract, almond extract, and then butter extract as well. Those three things. Butter emulsion is what they call it, but I just call it butter extract. They make the cookies taste so good. The flavor profile is like super, super rich. So I don't know. I need to find a really good frosting recipe because you can't have sugar cookies without frosting. Though me and my partner do like having the sugar cookies naked, so it was really good to have cookies on Christmas and then cookies again for New Year's. But I need to take a break from the cookies as I am trying to, make sure I reduce my sugar intake. Well, as I eat my Dino Nuggies. These nuggies are so good. um Things I also did towards the end of the new year, as far as self-care goes, I trimmed my hair. It was time. I trim my hair every 6 months, so it was time to trim my hair, and that's what I did. And I also realized since coming back from since coming back from Universal Studios in November, um, the more protein I eat, the thicker my hair is. The more protein I eat, the thicker my hair is. And I always like to do a little tracker to see how much length I'm going to retain each year for my hair, because I have very specific goals for how much length I want to retain and how long I want my hair to be. So I thought I would be able to get to my my desirable hair length from in like 2 years. Yeah. Yeah, like 2-ish years or so, right? It's actually 3 years. It's going to take 3 years, because I realized that with every trim I do, I trim my hair every 6 months. So I trim my hair like twice a year. I'm actually taking off 1 inch in hair. So really, I'm at most retaining like 4 inches of hair instead of 6. So I trim my hair and it looks good. It's still healthy. But protein is a really big factor. Protein in diet, I hate to be that type of person, but protein in diet is a really huge factor. And ensuring that you have good hair health, that's what's helped my hair stay really, really healthy. And that has nothing to do with any like magical product that's being sold on the market, any sort of like hair technique. The techniques and the routines are always going to be the same. Diet is like the number one thing that I wish a lot of natural hair gurus would like get a grip on, like tell their audience about and like get a grip on, because so many of the things that we want from our hair to be like thicker and healthier and all of that could really just be fine-tuned by having a decent enough diet. And so many of us use all of these products hoping that our hair is going to look just as thick as the girly pop with type 3A curls. Lo and behold, we don't got type 3A curls. We have type 4A curls or type 4C hair, right? And then we're over here with uber unhealthy diets and questioning why the Ayurvedic herbal oil that we bought on TikTok isn't helping grow our hair in the same way that it helped this other person. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think by the end of this year, I will probably make a video of all the things I've done to keep my hair healthy. And then I'll do another one in like 2 years once I get to my desired length and really talk about like what really helped me. And like I said, the first thing that I'm immediately going to go to is diet, because not a lot of people talk about it. Not enough people talk about it. Not enough people spotlight the fact that at the very least, you need to have enough protein every day. So, yeah, looking forward to that in like 2 years or so, 2 to 3 years. But okay. So today is gonna be a yap session. I'm so sorry. I got a yap. I'm not gonna be here to game. I'm not gonna be here to play Telltale games, Dark Pictures anthologies. There was this Michonne bonus episode from Walking Dead, Unaliving, The Walking Unaliving. I'm trying to be good this year with cussing and all of that, right? But I'm not gonna play that either, and I still haven't gotten Dispatch. So here I am coming to you live with a lot of ish that is on my mind, and I gotta get it out. I'm so sorry. So get comfortable, eat some popcorn, do what you need to do. I'm gonna try and finish up these dino nuggies, and then we'll get into it, because I think the crux of this this video today is going to be talking about how the music is going to look like for 2026, right? I'm about to get a green screen because my desk is messy. Again, holiday things, but I should just get a green screen at this point. A green screen with like some funky some funky like background, maybe a bunch of like Sonic logos, or maybe that classic Sonic where he's just wiggling his finger in the background. Um, but yeah, it's dirty back there. I'm so sorry. But yeah, music. I have a prediction that music is probably going to be really, really good this year for the year 2026. And I also predict, because of just how things are going on, how do I say this? I don't want to say economic. Well, I do want to say economically. And I don't want to put it on politics too much, though I think politics has had an impact. Music just hasn't been that good, especially in 2025. 2024, we saw like a resurgence of some new pop girls at the very least. 2025 was horrible for music, with the exception of some like not younger, but like, budding artists who are still on their grind, who I can predict maybe in like a couple years or so, they're probably going to do really, really well, have a strong fan base and a strong following. But I think for hip hop specifically, we're probably going to see some shifts happening. Okay, so this is about the beef with Young Money and I guess whoever owns Top Dog Entertainment. Not really Top Dog Entertainment themselves, but like whoever is who owns Top Dog Entertainment. Basically the beef between the two of them that I did not know has gone on for like years before the You're Not Like Us Drake v. Kendrick beef. Like, this has been a consistent rap beef that has been happening. I really would love to take a course in hip hop history so I can wisen up and have a lot of knowledge with like how these beefs develop and evolve. And I really want to get to this point where I can predict where music is going, right? And I think with Kendrick annihilating the beef with Drake, we could already see that there has been a significant shift in hip hop music, at least for the men in hip hop. The women in hip hop, I'm going to get to in a minute. But for the men in hip hop, we have seen that there is a significant shift in how we consume hip hop. Drake, for the longest time, was at the top for the very longest time, for about like a decade or so, right? Like, he really started taking off in the early 2010s. And then as we get into the 2020s, he's starting to teeter off. And the issue at the time with hip hop is that a lot of the culture, the essence, and the politics of what makes hip hop music good kind of fizzled and dwindled out as we deemed Drake, based on pure sales and streams, which we might have discovered have probably been a lot of like, very bot heavy stream that pushes his music. Okay, excuse me, I'm rambling. But we've realized that Drake really wasn't in the business of honoring or respecting the culture and the essence of what makes hip hop. Whereas we always had Kendrick, who seemed like the underdog, who but also like the golden boy of hip hop, who wasn't really like for the mainstream audience, but also made a significant impact in some of the music that he's created, and most of the music that he's created, and how hip hop should be, right? And, he hasn't been able to take on the mainstream in the way that Drake has, but at the very least, he was the golden boy that we needed to, respect the culture. And something about Drake I want to talk about, and I'm like, what, like 2 years? Coming on 2 years contributing to this rap beef, but it's important for what I'm going to talk about today. Okay, it's important for what I got to talk about today. But I always had like an icky feeling about Drake. When I really got into hip hop in college, and I started listening to some of like the juggernauts in hip hop. So for me at that point, I was listening to like, more like conscious rappers, J. Cole, Chance the Rapper, Kendrick Lamar, a lot of Kendrick Lamar. I listened to all of Nicki Minaj's discography so I can understand what the hype was, because we were at the pinnacle of like or at the beginning of like the inevitable downfall of Nicki. We're gonna get into her on this video too. Do not worry. But also Kanye West. I was listening to a lot of Kanye West as well. And I was just listening to a bunch of like different newer hip hop artists too. Young Thug, when he first came out, I really didn't like him. Now that I've realized how much he's contributed to the mumble rap sound, you know, I have respect for him. Don't respect so much that he was promoting gang culture in his music, but you know, that's unfortunately a piece of hip hop that I wish we'd stop talking about. But I mean, we need to have those stories told, right? I'm not, in no way am I defending like drill and gang culture in hip hop music, but we can't just like throw it under a rug. It needs to be addressed, maybe in a Good Kid, Mad City kind of way, and maybe not in a like a drill rapper type way, but it still needs to be addressed. You know what I mean? And you know, Young Thug contributed a lot to that sound, but unfortunately he was also affiliated with gangs, which is why he was incarcerated. And then when he came back out, it felt like he could never get his footing back. Drake is still recovering from that beef. I don't think he will ever recover. And I think that him taking as big of a hit as he did was an indicator that Young Money was on its way out, as like a label developed by Lil Wayne that has like history upon history of like beefs that I didn't even know about, that I'm gonna have to go back and like do some research on, because I think this is so interesting. Hip hop history is so interesting. And you know, personally, as like a Black American myself, I feel like it's important for me to know you know, this part of, you know, Black culture. And so I got to do some research and understand how that beef works. But what I know is that the downfall of Cash Money, it has contributed to like a decades upon decades old beef between Birdman and I don't know. Please be patient with me. All right. So hang in there. I'm gonna make it come around full circle. All right. So you have Drake on his way out. Kendrick basically like, you know, drop kicked him numerous times, and with multiple diss tracks letting everybody know, Drake, hang it up. Tyga really isn't doing too much. I don't think Tyga has ever been seen as a threat to begin with, because from what I understand with Young Money, it was like the big three. A part of Young Money was Drake, Tyga, and Nicki Minaj. Those were the big three that were the most successful. And then there were some other smaller talents from Young Money. I think Lil Twist was a part of it. He was supposed to be like a young, like, you know, a young rapper, kid rapper, but then he got into a lot of trouble with what's his name, Justin Bieber, and doing a bunch of like, you know, illegal activities. And unfortunately, I wish this didn't happen, but Justin's label stepped in and was like, hey, Lil Twist, you need to take the blame. So like artists like Lil Twist and other artists on Young Money, they slowly started to fizzle out. But the big three, from what I understand, and feel free to correct me in the comments, it was Drake that Lil Wayne introduced to the mainstream, right? It was Drake, Tyga, and Nicki Minaj. I hope it was Tyga. Who were the most successful artists in Young Money? Sorry, I gotta do my research. So, okay, Tyga's a part of it, right? Like, I'm just using him, you know, because he was big enough, like, but he was nowhere near as big as Drake and Nicki Minaj. And I have been seeing that there has been an effort to kind of eliminate Young Money. I've seen that. And again, I don't know what the details are behind why they want to eliminate Young Money. I will look that up eventually. But Drake, You're Not Like Us treatment, Kendrick Kendrick got him. And then the reception of the beef, I think, is where I really started to not like Drake, because he was starting to file lawsuits against payola being used to push Kendrick's diss tracks, even though we know, and it's been proven constantly, that Drake for a majority of his career has been using a bunch of bot streams, probably paying off Spotify playlists and all types of other nonsense in order to stay in the charts. And you can even kind of tell, because his music will stay in the charts for like a little bit and then it'll fall off. So it really doesn't have like true longevity in the way that you would expect it to. You know what I mean? All right. So then we got Nicki Minaj, right? And we know what happened with Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj has been quaking in her boots since Sheether came out by Remy Ma. And, you know, she was able to come back from that beef, but she was able to come back from that beef. I'm not going to be picky. She was able to come back from that beef and come out on top with her song, her feature on a song. But like, my whole argument is like, a diss track doesn't mean that you hop on as a feature for someone's main song. A diss track is you making a song to go up against the person who dissed you. But again, I don't know all the details about hip hop and how it works. I could be wrong. But Nicki Minaj, she did kind of win the one with Remy Ma. But then while all that shit was going on, Cardi B was in the background plotting and scheming, and Bodak Yellow came out, and that was the beginning of the end of Nicki Minaj's career. And what's sad is that I'm just going to call her Onika. I wish Onika would have handled that with a lot of grace. I really do, in regality, and just took it on the chin and being like, okay, the new girls are coming in. It is what it is. I'm still that girl. I'm the queen of hip hop, but I'll let the new girls tussle and like just be above all that. You know what I mean? Just let just let the new girls tussle. Let Cardi B beef with whoever rappers out there, and then she just be above it all. Come out with her Pink Friday 2 music, and then just at the very least don't address them. That's real queen behavior. Don't address them. Take it a step further. Put it in the music. Obviously, Nicki didn't do that. I'm gonna say something very, very controversial. And I have no protection because I'm just a little baby YouTuber, a little baby streamer. So the barbs can really get me for this one, right? But the issue I've always had with Nicki Minaj is that she never just put it in the music and wiped her hands of it. She always had to take it to Twitter first. And I think the issue that a lot, like some of the criticisms that I hear from women in hip hop is that some of them will really just go to Twitter before they go into a booth. And they'll keep that blame on the newer girls in hip hop. But with any criticism of like female rap, because here's the thing, female rap's been killing the game. Female rap has been killing it more than male rap. Okay, I'd argue it's more marketable now. It's been proven with Nicki Minaj as the start of the pop rap formula, and then later on with other younger artists that are out now, Doja Cat, Lotto, Ice Spice, Megan Thee Stallion, like all those girls. Like people are labels are waking up and realizing that women in hip hop is probably more marketable. Oh, I forgot Cardi B, excuse me. Women in hip hop is probably more marketable than men in hip hop, because you got if they can rap well, if they can slide on a song well, and then they look good, and then they have looks that are attainable, that people want to attain, you got both men and women relating to them. Women wanting to be them or live vicariously through them, right? And then men who want to bang them, right? So women in hip hop was like, once the formula was set in stone. Like once the formula worked, which I feel like Nicki Minaj did perfect, I'll give her flowers for that. We realized that women in hip hop has been marketable. So women, like female rap has been dominating. But I've also noticed that there's a lot of hate towards female rap. And I noticed that there's a lot of hate towards female rap that dodges the root of the problem. I have an unpopular opinion, and I'm going to say that the real issue with female rap, the real issue that has been, causing like a rift in female hip hop or women in hip hop, okay, is Nicki Minaj. Because she has set up so many beefs with people that she doesn't even put in the music as much anymore as she posts them on Twitter. And everyone, it's crazy to hear hip hop commentators like go back and forth and talk about, well, the women in hip hop just talk about their coochie too much. The women in hip hop just care about fashion. Like they don't really care about the music. They can't do any diss tracks, wah, wah, wah. And it's just like, okay, but the one woman that you put up, called her the queen of hip hop, right, is over here going on perked out rants on Twitter almost every other day if a girl breathes wrong. And now it's not even hip hop anymore. It's SZA caught fades. SZA caught straights for no reason. Like, and she's an R&B artist, she's not a rapper. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I feel like, and maybe this is crazy to say, but the downfall of Young Money is probably going to balance a lot of things out in hip hop that a lot of old school hip hop heads have been saying is like the core issue with hip hop as it currently presents itself. And this is coming from someone who isn't, I'm not a hip hop girl, okay? I'm not a hip hop expert. So if you want to clock me in the comments, feel free. I'll take it. But that's what I feel like the downfall of Young Money is signaling. I think that with artists like Drake and Nicki Minaj, they're always going to be the type of artists to catch trends, ride waves, and follow trends. And they're not really trying to say anything more or less than that, than following the trends, you know? I will argue that Nicki Minaj is probably a stronger rapper than Drake. I know that's a very spicy opinion to some people, but I will say that. I'm not going to take away and say that Nicki Minaj can't like rap. No, like we all know that she can rap. However, I have some very strong unpopular opinions about her, and one of the strongest one I've had that I outside of like the core issue of hip hop is rooting from the queen of hip hop herself, Nicki Minaj. But another unpopular opinion, well, it's not unpopular, but another big opinion that I've always had is that Nicki got comfortable. She got comfortable in being the only one and didn't really work at what would cement her as being as justifiably being able to hold the title of being the only one, if that makes any sense. And I'm not talking about sales, and I'm not talking about album purchases, impact, because she did make that impact in the 2010s. She did. But I always knew, I'm going to choose my words carefully because I don't want to get canceled, okay? I don't want to get canceled. But if I get canceled by Barb's, oh well. They got bigger fish to fry, okay? But deep down inside, I knew that Nicki would have an impact, but it would have been, somebody was going to trump her. Like, and when I say Trump, I don't mean in sales alone, because I don't think nowadays sales is the only thing that can justify you being an impactful artist. Nicki's impactful, yes, but I knew that someone would come along and do what she did, do the formula that she had done and like started, and do it in a way where it is perfected and unattainable. Like nobody can touch that. Like I just, like, something in my heart like told me that, like, or in my stomach, not really my heart. Something in my stomach and my spirit just told me that that time was coming. And the reason why is because when the Nicki Minaj v. Cardi B beef actually started, something that Cardi B did not have was lyricism and the ability to just write her own music. Like, let's just be real. She's a high maintenance talent. She needs a lot of ghostwriters in order to do her job, right? And that's fine, because what she made up in not being like a rapper's rapper is being able to have strong performances and a strong vision that would be able to create the taste of what is going to be trending in the next 5 to 10 years or so. And I really want to take a moment to really like stress that as soon as Cardi B came out and she started showing the girls that you can give pop star worthy level performances with like full choreography, dancing, all of that in a way that I did not really see with Nicki Minaj, that's when I kind of knew the direction that hip hop was inevitably going to go into for women, especially. And that's when I knew that Nicki was probably like someone was going to trump her success, I guess is the way to put it. I hope, you know, and hopefully I'm not blowing smoke up my own ass, but like, because the thing about Nicki is that yes, she can get an audience swaying. Yes, she can get an audience moving. Yes, she has really strong lyrics. She can rap her ass off. She can slide on a beat well. She can slide on a beat well. Okay, all of those things. But something that was always missing from her that like kind of for me separated her from like some of the biggest, you know, pop talent of the time. I'm thinking Beyonce, Rihanna, Katy Perry. We'll talk about Taylor Swift later, girl. I'm not going to talk about Taylor Swift right now. But what separated her for me is that like the performance, even Lady Gaga too, like the performance wasn't like performing in the way I needed it to, you know what I mean? Like I think about Super Bass in that music video and she's doing the cute little dance. And then even when she took a risk with that Grammys performance of Roman Holiday, when they told her not to do it, but she did it anyway because Whitney Houston had passed away. It just felt like I always knew that like more could be done, but as far as rapping, more had already been achieved, right? Like with Nicki, right? But as far as like performance and like taste making and all of that, like there was a moment in the 2010s where, well, first of all, Nicki Minaj started like the BBL culture. Like, let's talk about that. Like Nicki, Onika, it wasn't Kim. Okay. It was definitely Onika who was at the beginning of the BBL culture with the ass shots and all that. And then in 2010, she did have the like 30-inch bust down looks that again, little Kim took or Kim Kardashian took and kind of tried to make it her own. Right. But like Nicki's already been always been ahead of that. But then you have someone like Cardi and it seems like she's really hopping on these trends and is a tastemaker and is setting the groundwork for what is going to be and what music is going to look like, what hip hop is going to look like, especially for women in the next 5 to 10 years. No one was doing like full-fledged choreographed performances in every music video and every live performance and the way that Cardi B was. And then Nicki Minaj, like here and there, she would do that, right? Like I'm thinking about Anaconda and the VMA music video. And I'm thinking about the Hey Mama, the song she did with BB Rexa, and she was dancing in that. So there were moments where she was dancing, but then towards the time when Cardi B came in, it seemed like she was just kind of standing there and hyping up the crowd. And sometimes in hip hop, you need that. That's fine. But then you got like Megan Thee Stallion and she's coming out and she's doing like Megan knees and twerking and all of this shit. And then you got, you know, Doja Cat, and like I consider Doja Cat hip hop, and she's out here with the energy. She don't need any dancers. It's just her and the microphone, and she's going to give the energy that's needed. And then, you know, Lotto, same thing, showmanship. Flo Milli, Energy, Doechii, which is like the topic of today's, of where I'm going with this. Energy, all on her own, like dancing, vibing, splits, all of that, right? Both Doechii and Doja are great performers that Nicki just wasn't really doing anymore. And I always believed that if there were more women, if more labels invested in hip hop and created more women around the time Nicki came out, I don't think Nicki would have been able to safely say that she's the queen of hip hop. I say this to this day. If Azealia Banks acted more like Doechii and had the right team behind her, I believe that yes, they would be going back and forth. Nicki got comfortable in being the only one because she had nobody to really go compete with. Yes, she fought and scratched her way to the top and like Trump's success over Lil' Kim. Yes, ma'am. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. And one would argue rightfully so. I've heard here and there that she's taken the flow of Lil' Kim and she's taken a lot of Lil' Kim's aesthetics. But every time you said that when Nicki was in her prime, you'd get canceled for and say, how dare you? No, she has all these personas, Harajuku Barbie. Okay. But like as soon as Cardi B came out, at the very least, I was expecting like showmanship and then like heavy rollouts on like albums before Pink Friday 2, where like you had fully fleshed out like stories that you're trying to tell on all of these albums. Another thing I noticed about Nicki is that she never really had a cohesive story or body of work to tell with her music. That like her peers, and I'm using the pop girls as her peers because she was in the pop space for a minute and there were no other rap girls that could stand next to her, right? So Rihanna for a while was like that until her last album Anti came out, which seemed like a cohesive body of work to show us where Rihanna's at and where she's been and where she's headed to, right? And then even Beyonce, like she, as soon as Self-Titled came out, she made it really clear that she's trying to create a vision, right? I never got that from Nicki's music. And I feel like to be at that status, sales aside, numbers aside, fan base aside, at the very least, you should be able to do that. There should be like some semblance of cohesive storytelling. If you're going to have like Harajuku Barbie in your album, like what are you trying to say with Harajuku Barbie? If you're going to have Roman in your album, which she did in a couple albums before, but like what are you trying to say with Roman? What are you trying to address here? Chun-Li, Red Ruby the Sleaze, like one of the other criticisms I've always had about her is that like she has all these alter egos and personas to build off of, but they were never like fully fleshed out in the way that like her pop contemporaries were able to do, you know, and the way that I can see and I've already have seen with a lot of the, you know, women in rap and hip hop that are doing right now, you know what I mean, where they have motifs. Megan Thee Stallion, she dropped the self-titled Megan, and the motif of the cobra and shedding their skin, right? And I guess in this new album that she's gonna drop, if she drops it, I guess we're doing Jaguars now with the last single that she dropped about her man, and she's twerking a lot. Like we're gonna talk about Jaguars, I guess. I don't know but like it's consistent, you know what I mean? There's a vision. I never got too much of a vision outside of Nicki. It always felt like she was doing what the guys were doing but for girls. The Blueprint, okay guys, I'm so sorry, Jay-Z, the Blueprint, okay, the Blueprint, Jay-Z. Nicki comes out with the Pink Print. That's the perfect example. That's the perfect example, right? And like, hey, there's nothing wrong with that, but the level of creativity is there, but it could be pushed a bit further. I hope I'm making sense, and I hope I'm in a safe space, and I'm not going to get clocked by any barbs or saying what I did. And again, that's not to take away from Nicki not being a good rapper. She was a great rapper, yes, but like, I'm just going to be real. As soon as Cardi B came out, it was the beginning of the end. She was starting to fall off. She was like, and I think it has nothing to do with her music and a lot to do with her ego. And now we are here where she is aligning with MAGA in hopes to get like some sort of political favors done for her, and has alienated most of her fan base, almost half of her fan base. I don't know who's standing for her now. It's like it's almost like saying I still rock with Kanye. Like she's on the Kanye trajectory, okay? Like Kanye still has, like, people still miss and yearn for old Kanye. I definitely do. Like, you know, graduation day Kanye and all of that. But like now no one's really checking for Kanye for real, right? And we saw exactly what happened when the Conservative Party came in and put that man through the ringer, and he comes out with what? What exactly? Like, come on, let's be real. Like his name as an artist has been tarnished. It will never be as big, especially when you go on platforms with Alex Jones, and then you're working with literal fascist, racist piece of shits like Nick Fuentes. Like, it was the beginning of the end for this man. It was like you can't come back from that. And mind you, this is the dude who went on live TV and said George Bush doesn't like black people. And it was hilarious hearing my guy friends at the time like defend this man, where I was like, okay, this man is not good. And they were like, no, he's trying. You gotta give him a break. He's doing the best he can. And I'm like, girl, no, like, he's gonna show you exactly who he is in the next decade. And lo and behold, what does he do? What does he do? What does he do? What does he do? He shows us exactly who he is. And now there's really no coming back from that. Like, I don't know what that man's doing, but there's no coming back from that. Okay. Same thing is gonna happen with Nicki. Like, that you can't, like, and it's a lot more brutal for women, especially black women. All right. I hate to say it, but it's just what it is. It's a lot more brutal for black women to step into these spaces that we are traditionally not meant for. Try to create space in there, and when they take us through the ringer and chew us up and spit us out, nobody wants to work with us. It's just what it is. Okay, it's just what it is. All right, that, like, I'm sorry, but that's just what happens. I don't like that. I don't like that black men and men in general can get a lot of grace for, you know, having a fall off in morals and ethics for a minute, and then just, you know, dust themselves off and rebrand themselves. I hate that. But like versus like women who do the same, who attempt to do the same and nothing happens. But yeah, for black women, there's no coming out of this, especially when you're not known for politics. See, it worked for Candace Owens because nobody knew who she was before she leaned to the right. Okay, nobody knew who she was. She was a liberal at one point. Somebody probably gave her a lot of money to be a conservative, and she went and leaned conservative, and that's who we know her as, the black woman conservative. Okay, like, that's who we know her as. And I think, if I can do a sidetrack here, especially with Nicki Minaj working with Turning Point USA, y'all gotta realize that folks are getting paid off. That's what you gotta realize. Like, politics is a freaking joke because people are getting paid off to say what they have to in order to get the favors that they need. Okay. And, you know, Nicki Minaj embarrassed herself. She embarrassed herself and she alienated her fan base. It's downhill from here. And it's unfortunate because 2 years ago, when did Pink Friday 2 come out? Pink Friday 2 came out in... Pink Friday 2 came out in 2023. Oh, she has a whole documentary? Hold on. Let me share my screen. There was a whole documentary. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like, low-key, she's just standing there. And like, Megan's over here doing splits. Like, that Doja Cat's over here breaking into splits. Like, you know what I mean? Minaj Productions. Okay, so I guess they made a documentary. Okay, that's nice. See, this okay. This is why you should never alienate your queer fan base, because this is stuff that only the gays and the girls would do. Okay, like I don't know what she was thinking, getting on Erica Kirk and talking about boys need to be boys. Like, what do, ma'am? No. Okay, sorry, sidetracked. But she had a really good run with Pink Friday too, and I thought she was on the up and up. Like she like realized, oh, I'm that girl. Oh, I'm actually the queen of hip hop for real. Oh, I'm fine. Like I can keep making music and people will still respect me. And really, I don't have to be on Twitter as much, going on perked out rants in order to prove myself. His could drop. I can stay quiet for a couple months and then, you know, come out with a single and a music video and address it in the music. I thought that was the direction we were going to come in, like go into that. Like she's evolved and she's realized that like she is that exactly who she says she is. No, unfortunately, we should have really saw that Nikki's staying power was falling off when she did do the clap back to Hiss and she did Bigfoot, because I thought I was being gaslit, but Bigfoot was awful. Bigfoot was awful on some one fish, two fish, blue fish, green fish type shit. Okay, like we should have saw, okay, this is the woman who came out with Monster, and she was trying to pull a Kanye v. Drake type of situation where Kanye was rapping the whoopty poopty scoop on the Lift Yourself production that he made. But that was different because Drake wanted that beat. And Kanye said, okay, you want it? Let me shit on the beat. Like that's why it was creative. Plus, Kanye isn't known for being a rapper or having a killer monster verse on one of his songs. Nicki's known for that. No, you cannot do one fish, two fish, green fish, blue fish on your song. No, you cannot. When you have a rapper 10 years you're younger over here with a song that has dropped and a whole ass music video. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No. You said, all right, bet, go to the studio, drop the song, then drop the music video. Doing the Bigfoot, 3 foot, 2 foot. What was that? What was that? That was awful. That's when y'all should have realized. That's when the barber should have realized Nicki is on her way out. And then it really should have been cemented when she came for SZA and SZA let her know, well, no, actually, I wrote some of your songs, so pipe down over there. I wrote some of your raps, so pipe down over there. That's when y'all should have been like, like, that's really when y'all should have left. It shouldn't have taken Erica Kirk in Turning Point USA for y'all to be like, all right, I'm done. Because real talk, her politics have always spoken louder, or her silence has always spoken louder than her tweets and what she has said. All right, she don't like the gays. I don't know why y'all dubbed her queer icon of the year. I ain't never seen her in any queer events. At the very least, I saw her do RuPaul's Drag Race once. Okay, but like she ain't never been for the gays for real. I think she realized that the gays and black women wrote her checks and she was able to pander to them in the same way Drake was able to pander to his audience. But when it no longer benefited her, sit right there with Erica Kirk and say, we shouldn't be jealous, black women, we shouldn't be jealous of blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls. And boys need to be boys, and it's okay in being a boy. You know what I mean? Right. Like she, like, I don't know how she got the title of gay icon or queer icon. I don't know how that happened. Probably because she has such like high femme energy. Yeah, that's what I'm calling it. High femme energy, similar to the way drag queens do, right? Maybe that's why, but like she's never been for y'all for real. Okay. And so now we're gonna talk about Doechii, okay? Because this is important. This is like news to me, tea to me. Let me eat a nuggie, okay? Because this all is gonna make sense in a minute, all right? So I talked about the downfall of Young Money. I talked about the downfall, how Kendrick like kind of got Drake together. I talked about the downfall of Nicki Minaj, right? And how the girls have been consistently getting her together, and she really hasn't been able to come back from it since since Cardi B first dropped. But like the facade, the veil had been lifted, is lifting, right? The mirror, there's cracks in the image when Megan dropped Hiss, when SZA said, "No, I wrote your music," and then inevitably, the peak of the downfall is her aligning herself with conservatism, Turning Point USA, MAGA. So hold on one second, guys. I'm gonna eat a nuggie and then I'm gonna talk about Doechii, okay? That took way too long. Sorry, guys. Okay, Doechii. Why is Doechii important? Well, let me put up a picture. For those of y'all who do not know, I love Doechii. I love her. I've never had such an aggressive parasocial relationship with someone. Well, I wouldn't even consider it parasocial because I still live my life, but it's on this level of Doechii can do no wrong. Like, don't come in my space with some Doechii slander. That woman can do no wrong. It's the same way I feel about SZA. Like, Doechii and SZA, they're my girls. They can do no wrong. Don't come in my space with that slander, okay? Doechii has came out with her latest single, Girl Get Out, okay? She's come out with her latest single. It's really, really good. I like the sound. I like the vibe. I like how cozy it is. Okay. It feels very cozy. It feels like something I'd listen to on my wash day. But the lyrics are lethal. Lethal lyrics. Lethal lyrics. She's out here getting folks together. Okay. She's addressing a lot. She's addressing the allegations of her being an industry plant, which is not true. She is not an industry plant. She's addressing the the beefs she's had with bloggers, YouTubers, streamers. Not directly addressing them, but just addressing the people who keep calling her an industry plant and disrespecting her on the song. She's talking about how she was never given the role. Like, she never really wanted to be the intellect of pussy rap, right? In her words, because she still pops her kitty, okay? And I've been saying that for a minute. But that's like misogynoir for you. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, as soon as you find a girl who isn't scantily clad, isn't half naked, and can actually rap, and let her be dark skinned, okay, y'all immediately want to lump her into finally, she's not like one of those whorish sluts talking about their kitty. Like, don't get me started on that, right? I'm glad she addressed that, because she never said that that's who she wanted to be. Okay, and she never really was. If you listen to any of her music before Alligator Bites Never Heals, I really like that, she's always addressing how difficult it is for her as a dark-skinned woman. I love it. Like, I love how honest she is about that, because we don't talk about that enough. Hip-hop has a colorism problem. It does. For the women, it does. Don't believe me, Saweetie and Ice Spice. Saweetie really should have just stuck to influencing, and Ice Spice should have never happened. Ice Spice getting as far as she is, and then having the privilege, because it is a privilege, okay, to be on the SpongeBob. For her level, it's a privilege to be on the SpongeBob movie and make a song for them. Like, don't play in my face. Cardi B, you could say the same thing. See, Lotto can rap, so I can't say that about Lotto. Like, Lotto, at the very least, like, she looks good, she looks cute, and she can rap. So yeah, not too much on Lotto. I actually really rock with Lotto heavy. But for sorry guys, I'm having connection issues with Twitch, but that's okay. I'm good here on YouTube. Okay. I love your hair. Thank you, James. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. This is me. This is my hair. I'm on a length retention journey and I'm trying to keep my hair healthy. So thanks for saying you love my hair. I really appreciate it. Anyway. Yeah, Ice Spice and Saweetie should have never been a thing for real. Saweetie should have influenced, and Ice Spice should have just like Saweetie can't. Ice Spice can't even influence respectfully. Like, she's just pretty. Like, I'm so sorry, okay? But yeah, colorism is really big in hip hop. It is, and I'm glad Doechii spends in the very first verse. She lets y'all know, like, it's hard out here for a dark skin girl. Like, I love that. This single is great. It's cozy, but it gets the girls together. Like, she's eating and she's gathering everybody up on a cozy ass beat. And okay, so there's lore about the beat that she's using, because it comes from a like a Cash Money Records type beef, and that is something that I can't talk about right now. I got to do my research on, but if any experts know what I'm talking about, feel free to address it in the comments. But the beat that she's using, that's produced by Jay Versace, or he just goes by Jay now, that beat was used in like Cash Money Records, okay, and it's a big deal, all right. So there's some lore about that if you're like a real like hip hop head. But Doechii's dropping this single, right, and I think based off of what I've been hearing, I think that she is getting ready to start her rollout in the next couple months. And we might expect a rollout maybe in March or in May, based off of some of like the little research that I've been doing here and there. Okay. I watched a video. Let me see if I can find it. Doechii, Nicki Minaj. So I watched a video about Doechii and her newest rollout, right? And the creator of the video basically said that Doechii is looking to break hearts and take names in this upcoming year, and that what the goal is. Oh. Damn, y'all see all of my business. Excuse me. Okay, I don't know what video I'm looking for. But what Doechii's aim here, and I'm going to say allegedly to this, okay? But what I hear in the streets is that Doechii's trying to come for the title of Queen of Rap. That's what I hear. That's what I hear. Okay, that's what I hear. I don't know if it's true, but it's making a lot of sense. Like, things are starting to click, right? That is a big ask. But she's not saying Doechii's self-titled album, or the next album, her debut album that's going to be coming out. She's trying to set a precedence that I don't think the other hip hop girls are going to be able to touch. And I think there's a lot of things going on in the industry, and I wouldn't consider this industry plant court. Don't do that, okay? We're going to talk about the industry plant allegations in a minute. But I think the industry is banking a lot on this girl because she's very talented at what she does. She's insanely talented, okay? She is what hip hop needs right now. Me with my without my hip hop expertise, with my very little hip hop expertise, but just since picking up vibes over the past like 10-15 years, she's important. I knew that hip hop was on a downward trajectory when Ice Spice came out, and y'all hyped her up unironically. No. That's when I was like, okay, we can't keep doing these Build-A-Bear rappers. Okay, like we can't just get the pretty light-skinned girl that you went on a date with on a song and now she's a rapper. Like, no. Pretty girl in general. I don't want to bring colorist jargon into this, but like, I hope I'm not wrong in my prediction. It's going to be a really, really happy day for me when that happens, because I'm very big on, and it's not me gatekeeping, but I'm very big on, I was there at the very beginning. Like, I remember her in 2020 when she came out with the Oh Yo Places You'll Go EP. I've always been like that, but I'm getting less like, I was here first, move aside. No. But it's interesting to see people accuse her of being an industry plant, right? It's interesting to see people accuse Doechii of being an industry plant when I have known of this woman in like 2020 when she came out with the the Places You'll Go EP. Let me show that to you guys real quickly. All right. I saw her music circulate on TikTok. I saw the music circulate on TikTok, and that's how I discovered her. Okay. I can't find, hold on guys. I'll find it in a minute. I'm trying to find a picture, like a solid picture. And I can't, without being linked to like all of these, like, oh my God. Hold on a second, guys. This is gonna piss me off. I just need a picture of the album, please. That's not gonna link me directly to Spotify, please. All right, I guess this is fine. But let me show you guys. Okay, so I knew about Doechii since this era, okay? When she dropped this EP. All right, and everyone's over here is talking about industry plant this, industry plant that. No, I've been bopping to Doechii since, hi, my name's Doechii, lit to eyes. So to hear people say that, it's just like, what are we doing? No, she was very underground, and this whole EP is amazing, by the way. This whole EP basically encapsulates, like, I don't know, Black girlhood in such a beautiful way. Fabulous EP, fabulous. And even before this, she was still coming out with music. She's been coming out with music since like 2016. So let's not do that. What are we doing? Like, in the same way that when Chappell Roan got like a big push in 2024, like there were things set in stone for her to get there. Like she had been working and grinding to get there, but for some reason, Doechii gets the industry plant allegation. Chappell Roan does not. I don't know. That's just a little suspicious to me. Like, and both are phenomenal and both are talented, but like some of y'all really got to understand that y'all be using that word a little too loosely. Y'all be using the industry plant word a little too, or phrasing a little too loosely. Some folks really are just underground grinding, and then you don't hear from them until the industry gives them a push when they get big enough. Okay, Ice Spice is an industry plant. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, like that is like the prime example of an industry plant. But Doechii is not. Like, I'm so sorry. Doechii was never like, Doechii got an industry push because I think enough people enough people on the ground level listen to her to be like, I like Doechii, she's cool. But enough people like higher ups started realizing, oh wait, no, this girl is kind of exactly who she says she is. We need to push her. There's some stuff going on in hip hop that we don't really like. We need to start evening some things out. Okay. We need to start leveling some things out. All right. And that is where Doechii comes in. I think Doechii is going to set a standard and bar, and hopefully I'm not wrong in this statement. And this is a very wild statement to make on January 6th, 2026, but I'm just gonna say it. I feel like Doechii is going to set a precedence in hip hop. Take on the mantle of what is required from her in the hip hop space, and the trajectory of how we look at hip hop now is going to change significantly when she drops her album. I believe. Okay. Unpopular opinion. Maybe it is a popular opinion, but Doechii's never been an industry plant. People in the industry see her talent. People on the ground floor love her talent, and now she's being pushed. There's a difference between an industry push and an industry plant. Another example, Doja Cat. Remember when she was twerking and talking about cows? You remember that? Hold on, let me. Thick Doja. Y'all remember Thick Doja? Okay, let me show you guys. Okay. Y'all remember this? Bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow. I am not a cat. I don't go be out. Right? Remember that? And everyone was like, who is this girl? And she went viral. Bro, she was signed to some producer, the producer who assaulted Kesha. But she was signed to his like distribution label, okay? Dr. Luke's distribution label. She was already in the industry. One of my friends said, oh yeah, I heard her music 10 years ago. I heard her music 10 years ago on the radio. And now she's over here in a cow suit twerking, talking about cows. It was a great viral moment. Now more people know about her, but it's just like, do you call that an industry plant? No one ever calls Doja Cat an industry plant, because she was able to authentically present herself on the internet that would allow people to like her and go viral. People just see her as, oh, she's the bitch, I'm a cowgirl, and she blew up and she's a pop star. No, this was like 10 years in the making, love. Before she put on the cow suit, put fries on her nose, and started twerking in the back of a green screen, she was on a label and she was making music and posting it on SoundCloud in the same way that Doechii was doing. Okay, like, don't play in my face. All right, Doechii is not an industry plant, and a lot of y'all's faves that you claim aren't industry plants that y'all just rock with because they're pretty. Are probably more closer to industry plants than the people who are putting in the work. Doechii has always put in the work, okay? Which leads to my next point. A lot of y'all need to stop listening to these streamers. A lot of y'all, yeah, TikTok streamer bros, Twitter, y'all gotta be careful where you get your news sources, okay? Because everyone's getting paid. Everyone's getting a check, all right? I'm not getting paid. And I don't want to present myself as an expert in anything yet. Like, I wouldn't call myself a subject matter expert in music or in hip hop or any of that. But like, one thing I stand on business with is I said what I said, and I'm not getting paid to say it, all right? A lot of y'all's faves who come to y'all like they are relatable are getting a fat, juicy check cut by some billionaire to say what they need to. That's how we are in the current situation, the current climate that we're in politically. All right. A lot of the podcaster bros, a lot of the comedians, Joe Rogan, Logan Paul, all of these relatable people who are relatable. that, oh yeah, they're, you know, they just tell it like it is, no filter, independent media, podcaster, you know, they're not getting sponsored by CNN or MSNBC or Fox News, maybe not, but the people who work with Fox News, the people who align themselves with Fox News, the billionaires who believe in what Fox News is doing, is definitely cutting them a big juicy check. Y'all gotta be careful with that. The whole Megan v. Tory thing. Some of y'all's favorite streamers got paid a significant amount of money to lie by Tory Lanez' team, allegedly, to lie on Megan's name. Some of y'all's favorite female rapper probably got paid the same amount too to lie on Megan's name. And are probably going to go to court really soon. Looking at Adin Ross and DJ Academics are probably going to go to court real soon for lying on her name. Okay? You got to be careful where you're getting your news source from. A lot of people are getting paid off, okay? A lot of people are getting paid to say what they say. I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid, all right? Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm doing this for free. I'm doing this Brokiana style, okay? But let's talk about Adin Ross real quick, okay? Broccoli haircut guy. Let me get a picture. I really don't want to see this man. People like him piss me off. Can I just say that at the very least? People like him piss me off because why is he with J. Cole? Why is this man with J. Cole? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna get into it. Hold on. Let me just find a picture. Okay, I got a picture here. Okay. The problem with people like Adin Ross. I wonder if Adin Ross is on Wikipedia. Maybe I can find a good picture there. Okay, here we go. This is better. Why is all this stuff here? Oh, well. Okay, here we go. Okay, the problem with people like Adin Ross, I really don't want to see this person's face. I don't want to see this person's face. He pisses me off. He reminds me of every other white guy I used to go to school with when I was in high school. From elementary school to high school. I do not like people like him. He pisses me off. He is the pinnacle and the prime example of what happens when black folks get too comfortable around people like him. Okay? Prime example is when you give someone like an Adin Ross the power to say all the quiet things that you do not want to say as a black person, as a black man, as a black woman. I do not like people like Adin Ross because the way he came for Doechii at like the weirdest time because she was crashing out on her team at the Met Gala. And it really, like, I just found the whole situation funny and overstimulating. I didn't find it as like, oh, what an entitled, pop star brat, people still defending Tory. I know, James. I know. It's so weird that people are still defending Tory. It's weird. But they are. And I'm convinced it's because they're either it's money or delusion or privileges that they think they might get. It's just weird. But anyway, back to Adin Ross, okay? When he tried to clock Doechii for the Met Gala debacle that happened, when I saw that stuff, I just thought it was funny. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Like, I thought, like, girl, why do you got Doechii out here looking like this? Why not? Like, this isn't okay. She can't stroll up to the Met Gala like this. Girl, are you serious? And I think in the song, Girl Get Up, I'm so sorry. It's just funny to me. She alluded to hiring that team and firing all of them, and I'm like, good for you, because that was ghetto. That was just funny. That was just like a pop culture moment, like it never was meant to get that serious. And then this dude comes out of nowhere and is like, Doechii is entitled, she's awful, she's a horrible artist, she's terrible at what she does, you know, she's an industry plant. And he's just going in. And the first thing I thought, this man is going in, right? The first thing I thought is, why is this white boy so pressed that Doechii is doing well? Like, okay, like I said, I've been around like white guys before, right? And usually the type of energy they give to someone like a Doechii, if they're not invested, is like, that's not my type of music, right? Like, and then just move on to something else, right? But the way he went in, the level of vitriol he had in the first video he made critiquing Doechii and her music, immediately I thought, someone's cutting you a check. Because you cannot convince me. And then I think XQC is the same way. Someone's cutting him a check. Okay, like, you can't convince me. You actually give a flying FUCK about what Doechii has to say, the music that she's making, and what she's doing at the Met Gala. Are you serious? Are we being for real right now? If anything, you should be listening to Yeet and Playboy Cardi and playing games with Bronny and Kai Cenat. Like, you should not be worried about her. Like, y'all are so far removed from each other. So him automatically like critiquing that stuff, I'm just like, what are you doing? Like where is this coming from? Who cut your check? Same for Megan. They like, men like Aiden get off on being complacent and not saying anything. Like, they can get a lot from just not saying anything about the situation and moving on. But the way he went in about Megan, the way he went in about Doechii, already set like an uncomfortable vibe with like hip-hop fans, hip-hop experts, hip-hop enthusiasts. Already people were like, okay, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, what? Like you don't even go here, respectfully. And he doesn't. I gotta make it smaller because I can't keep looking at this man's face. He's gonna piss me off. But my boy doesn't. He doesn't go here. Adin Ross is a prime example of what happens when Black people, particularly Black men, get way too comfortable in letting non-Black people take up space and be a part of a subculture or a music genre or a fashion culture or whatever, and don't gatekeep what can and can't be said. Okay, there have been a lot of Black men that have been very comfortable with platforming Adin Ross. But when you look at how Adin has moved, this, mind you, this is the man who did an interview with Donald J. Trump. This man is absolutely against anything that you stand for. What are you doing? What are you doing for real? What are you doing? Okay. Adin Ross is the prime example of what happens when you let non-Black people be comfortable in Black spaces. That's just what happens. And I'd almost dare to say that Adin Ross is also a prime example of what happens when you don't educate the younger generation on how people like an Adin Ross get down. When you don't want to acknowledge how nefarious and dangerous it could be hanging out around someone like him. Because it starts with Adin Ross, right? Let me cook, okay? It starts with an Adin Ross. And then it ends with let me check. Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm not like knowledgeable in hip hop. I'm not knowledgeable in hip hop. So don't eat me if I say something wrong here. But let me just cook. Let me just cook. Okay, so it starts with folks like Aiden Ross, right? It starts with folks like Aiden Ross, ends with people like him. Which I think this is the podcaster I want to talk about. It's Adam22, and then there's another podcaster that also interviews hip hop artists and just lets them say all types of nonsense on their platform, and then boom, all of a sudden the hip hop artist is arrested. Basically, and I'm gonna say allegedly on this because I don't know if I'm right, but basically, his podcast acts as an informant for the FBI. So what I'm trying to say is you let these white people into these spaces that are predominantly meant for black folks. You let them get comfortable. And maybe it might be as comfortable as, you know, Aiden doing a stream with LeBron James' son, already biting off the clout of a successful black nepo baby, like a nepo baby of a successful black man, right? Then he's doing streams with Kai Cenat, biting off the clout of a successful black man in the streaming space, right? Now he's getting paid off by rappers like Drake, who already is really not what the culture needs. And then you got people like Adam22, the No Jumper podcast, and other white podcasts as well, white podcasters as well, being comfortable enough to interview people in the hip hop space. And then when they drop too much information, you know, arrested next day. That's you know what I mean? Like, that's the problem. That's the problem. And I think there has been a disconnect between, people of color, black people, and letting white people like Aiden Ross be comfortable in black spaces, because nobody has sat them down and been like, this is what they do low key for real. Like, low key for real, this is the shit that they do. They weasel themselves into our space, and then they do some whack ass shit by calling, you know, a black woman out her name. You know, and unfortunately, we are in a time where misogynoir is very prevalent, and we can see it. I'd say that what really kickstarted misogynoir was the Megan V. Tory nonsense. That's what kickstarted it. But it got very, like, it was nice to see that people got very protective over Doechii when Aiden tried to come for her in not just one stream, but 2 streams. And so that's where I get confused, right? Because in the first stream, he's saying that Doechii's an industry plant and and you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, sure. He comes out and says that he lost a lot of brand deals from saying that. He lost a lot of money from saying those things. And then all of a sudden, he he comes back again when Doechii drops, you know, Girl Get Up, and it's in the verse, she's not really addressing anybody per se. She's not really addressing anybody in the verse. She's just talking about how a lot of people are calling her an industry plant. Somehow Aiden thinks it's about him. And so then he starts going off again, and he starts ranting again about how Doechii's untalented. She's an industry plant. She's not that good. All this other nonsense, whatever. And this is when something really cool happens, because then we see a bunch of hip hop commentators come in and say, who the hell is Aiden Ross? He needs to shut the fuck up. And that is where I was like, yay, that's exactly what we need. We need to start addressing that not everyone should be in hip hop making a bunch, and not everyone in the hip hop space needs to be making a bunch of baseless claims just because they got paid off by Drake. You know, like, we need to be careful of who we let into the hip hop space. And, you know, I'm glad a lot of hip hop commentators are coming out and talking about, like, why would he say some nonsense like that? Like, where is he coming from? He needs to cool off. And even though it might be coming from a lot of like unks, okay, at least at the very least, they're telling their truth, and they are getting ready for things to balance out in hip hop music. And I think that people calling out someone like an Aiden shows where direction we are going in hip hop at the very least. Young Money is non-existent. Drake is out of here. Nicki's on her way out. I do feel like with the Drake influence and impact, it has helped someone like an Aiden be comfortable in saying some of the things that he has said. I just think that, in my humblest opinion, but I'm just so glad. I am so glad that, you know, people came in and protected Doechii at the very least and said, what are you talking about, bro? Like, why do we let these people come in? Other things I want to talk about Doechii really quickly is people have said stuff like Doechii makes Harriet Tubman music, bop music, like, and I'm just... And as soon as people started saying that the type of music that Doechii makes is Harriet Tubman music just because she's like rapping about like conscious stuff, that's what I was like, okay, maybe we lost the plot a little bit. Maybe we lost the plot. Maybe it's time for us to balance things out, because something that I've noticed, not just in music, but in even things like natural hair, right? And like the way Black people wear their hair, is like saying little terms like Harriet Tubman music, civil rights hair, Frederick Douglass hair. Like, where, like, why do you think that's funny? That's not funny. Like, that's not a joke. That's self-hatred. Like, be careful about what you're saying, you know? Like, you might not like mbop self-conscious music. It's not really called, I think it's called mbop music, but like, you might not like conscious rap. You might not like J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Chance the Rapper. That's fine. But at the very least, please respect it. It's needed. It's important. And you coming over here calling it Harriet Tubman music. First of all, why isn't it called Frederick Douglass music if you got men doing the same thing, right? Not that you should call it that, but it just sets a precedence of self-hatred. You don't like yourself. You don't like that type of music. Anti-Blackness. You don't like you rather hip-hop be less and less political. And in order for hip-hop to exist as a genre, it has to be political. That is the one music genre that is built off the backs of politics. Most music genres are built off the backs of politics. But for the accomplishments that hip-hop has been able to achieve, okay, from the things that hip-hop has been able to do, to economically shift a marginalized group of people that otherwise would not get those resources unless something like hip-hop came in that they've created, had awarded them those resources. Yes, you do have to be reminded of the politics. Absolutely. If you don't, you end up with Aiden Rosses of the world trying to be experts in the hip hop space, knowing that they don't know anything about the culture whatsoever. And then you get gentrified versions of hip hop. Okay. And what do I mean by gentrified versions? Okay. Let me show you guys. Okay. I'm just going to pick a band real quickly. And this is no shade. This is no shade. I'm just being real here, okay? K-pop. K-pop music, gentrified versions of hip-hop, westernized hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. And it gets deeper, right? It gets deeper because it's not just that there are a bunch of people overseas who are inspired by hip hop, R&B, and pop music of America. It's not just that. It gets deeper, right? It's that they have fostered and facilitated a community and culture of fans who will downplay the contributions of Black music that was started by Black people, to the point where they will smear and insult and disrespect the music that was started by Black people, that genres like K-pop has been riding off the coattails of for God knows how long. That's how deep this shit is. That's why you need to protect subcultures, genres that are started by people of color, that are started by Black folks, hip hop. That's why there needs to be a leveling out. That's why we need to stop taking out like the trend, the people who want to hop on trends and what's trendy and what's new and what's viral, versus the people like Kendrick and Doechii that are going to level things out and address some things in a way that need to be addressed, to make sure that, you know, hip hop isn't going to be sold out, to make sure it doesn't end up in the same route as K-pop, where you have a bunch of stans over here saying, oh, Jungkook, Usher is a good dancer and all, but Jungkook is better and Usher sucks. I'm thinking about that one time Jungkook and Usher did a song together. Usher sucks. Like, why is Usher on this song with Jungkook? He's worse than him. And it's like, my brothers and sisters in Christ, my little offsprings, Usher's the original. Like, what are we talking about here? That's what happens, is that people get so far removed from the culture, which is unfortunately what it looks like with K-pop, right? That people are starting to idolize the aesthetic of Blackness on non-Black people. And people are comfortable in critiquing these genres started by Black people over these genres started by over these genres that have been duplicated by the inspiration of Black folks. Okay, all right, like that's how deep it is. That's what happens if we don't start gatekeeping hip hop and R&B and pop music, especially R&B with that AI artist. Oh, wow. I didn't think I was going to get there. Whoa. I'm cooking. I am cooking. Because, like, do you not notice that they're low-key trying to replace this a little bit? Meet this AI artist, this AI R&B artist, all right? Kalani and SZA hate this bitch. As they should. Zania Monet, whatever her name is, right? She has a record label. Or she got signed to a record label. This is also a reality that could happen if we don't start gatekeeping like culture that is close to us. And it's not just with R&B music in the music industry. It's also with content creators as well. Those really cool, hyper realistic AI videos of, Black girls that look very pretty. Black guys look very cute. And they're doing vlog videos and vlog channels, and they say some things that are a little outlandish, and you can tell it's AI because some of their fingers are messed up. Yeah, they're like trying to replace us, if not physically, also virtually. Like, I know I might sound like a conspiracy theorist, but that's what's going on, low-key. Like, they're testing the waters to see how we receive this. Luckily, now, a lot of people are like, especially with Zania Monet, they're like, oh, no. First of all, with Zania Monet, like, that's not even... Okay, wait, hold on. Yeah, Zania Monet, that's such an unoriginal name. We already have Victoria Monet and Janelle Monet. What Monet do you think you're gonna be, Zania? Like, sit the fuck down. Like, that's what I'm talking about, though. All right? It goes deeper than Aiden Ross playing games with Ronnie. It even goes deeper than, like, the No Jumper podcast. It gets to the point where, literally... this nonsense is going on, and you have a bunch of clueless fans half the age of myself, honestly, who are over here like Jungkook is better. This Usher person needs to get out of here. No, Usher's the original. Pipe down, Pipsqueak. The fuck, like, it's important. Doechii is important. The fall of Young Money needed to happen, unfortunately. And the rise of Top Dog Entertainment, especially the rise in how they are trying to communicate different versions of Blackness in a very authentic way. That needs to happen. It needs to happen because it's getting weird. I already knew it was a little weird with the way Drake was able to infiltrate hip hop, but it needs to happen, especially now, because we are navigating treacherous waters in a way. Let me explain. We're getting to a place where the existence of Black people, whether it be in the music, in entertainment spaces like music, or in influential spaces like content creation, is going to be compromised and replaced if we don't step in and do something. If somebody doesn't step in and set the standard, that's where we're headed. We're getting closer and closer to more and more people rocking with K-pop and saying it looks way, way better than the originators who started it. That's where we're at, okay? That's not good. And I like K-pop, okay? I don't mind K-pop. Because, you know, they reach forward, like they reach back. They work with people of color. They've worked with Megan. I like K-pop. But it's just the reality of it all, the stan culture of it all, the mindset, the mentality, the grooming of it all, you know, the brainwashing, the conditioning. Okay, so yeah, it goes deeper than Adin Ross insulting Doechii. Again, I want to know who's cutting his check. If it's Drake, that would be weird. If Drake is paying him to say shitty things about Doechii, like, he must be scared of that girl, because that is weird. Okay, but yeah, you gotta be careful, because we can get a bunch of like non-Black people in hip-hop trying to tell us what is hip-hop and what is it, trying to tell us what stories we should tell in our music and in our art. Okay, I'm gonna eat another chicken nugget and then I'm gonna move on to my next topic. Okay.
Imagine being a...
Okay. I'm ready. I'm gonna talk about Taylor Swift real quickly. Okay. And do I want to talk about the video? I actually don't want to start beefs. I'm a little YouTuber, so I'm not gonna start beefs, but but I gotta talk about this, okay? Because as people are talking about Doechii and how she's kind of going to set a precedence this year, and it's going to be an interesting year for hip hop, especially women in hip hop, and the you know, feats that she's trying to accomplish. I don't know if she's going to trump Nicki. I know that Nicki's trying to drop music in March. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't know how that's gonna go. Okay. It could, like, Pink Friday 2 wasn't good. That's the pill. That's the hard pill I need everyone to swallow. Pink Friday 2 wasn't as good as we were all gassing it up to be. Okay, it wasn't that good. Okay, Pink Friday 2 literally is what Cardi B did with her last album, Am I the Drama? And Cardi B has been out here for a shorter time than Nicki Minaj. If you're going to nostalgia bait us with saying, oh, this is Pink Friday 2, then it needs to have the same work ethic and like tenacity and ambition as Pink Friday 1, if not better. Pink Friday 2 was not good. And I feel like I'm in a safe space to say that now. Like nobody's going to attack me. No barbs are going to attack me because I know I'm right. But like when Pink Friday was having its run, everyone was like, oh no, girl. Oh no, Pink Friday is amazing. It's a body of work. No, it's the same exact thing Cardi B did with Am I the Drama? And I know Pink Friday 2 came out first, but it's like the quality. You feel me? The quality should not be where Cardi B is. Cardi B isn't a rapper for real. Like she doesn't rap. She's known for like performing for real and being like a tastemaker. Nicki, you're a rapper. No. Okay. Let's be honest. Let's be real. All right. So, I watched this video, commentary video talking about Doechii and Adin Ross and how Adin crossed the line with Doechii and all of that. Right. Okay. Let's see how long I've been on here for. Oh, an hour and 45 minutes. Wow. Okay, cool. Okay. When I was watching the video all willy-nilly, it's by a group of people that I actually, there's a lot of respect on their opinion. Like I respect their opinion a lot because I think one of them has been really has really heavy close ties to hip hop culture and the hip hop industry and how it has evolved from like 50 years ago. So obviously I'm going to pay my respect there. They, obviously more than me. You were in the weeds when all that stuff was going on, right? And one of the commentators had his own separate segment where he's talking about how Adin Ross had crossed the line with Doechii. Okay. And it started off really good. I actually really liked the video. I liked what was said. He also brought on like a Black woman to talk about like, the experience, like Doechii and what she means to the culture, but also what she kind of means to Black women, low-key, right? Okay, so here's where I fell off. Here's where the video fell off for me, okay? Is when the host of the video, the commentator, started comparing Doechii's career to that of a Taylor Swift. Not a Nicki Minaj. Not a Beyonce. Not a Lady Gaga. All of which I'm pretty sure that's where Doechii has gotten her influences from. Like just from seeing her perform, hearing her rap, that's where she got her influences from. But a Taylor Swift. Life of a Showgirl, Taylor Swift. Pop artist, not hip hop, not R&B. Pop artist, Taylor Swift. And so here's where now I gotta dunk on Taylor, okay? I try my best not to dunk on her because her fans are crazy in the same way Barb's are. Though I think that facade is crumbling too, especially with her dropping her Life of the Showgirl project. That was not a good album. It was cute. It was like, oh, okay. Like when I first listened to it, I was bopping my head to it. And then when I realized what the intention behind Opalite was, that she was sneak dissing Kayla Nicole, comparing Kayla Nicole, Travis Kelce's ex, to Moldavite, and then Taylor comparing herself to Opalite. I was like, oh girl, no, hang it up. No, this is a microaggression if I've ever seen one. I'm not a bad bitch, a savage. No, that's a microaggression. Like, no, I was right about you all along. Taylor Swift is another one who I could not get down with. I'd say her best work to this day, because I listen to a lot of pop music, was 1989. That's a very well done album. That's how you do pop. However, the streets have been talking and they've been saying that a lot of the music from 1989 was just watered down, gentrified music of like Lana Del Rey, who is like an indie pop darling. And I'm like, wait, I don't listen to Lana Del Rey, so I'm not like deep. So I listen to a lot of pop music, but I'm not like deep into like the indie pop the way I should be, right? And you know, I'm a little iffy about Lana Del Rey personally, okay? But when people were saying, oh yeah, like if you listen to Wildest Dreams by Taylor Swift, it sounds the same, exact same, or carries the similar melody as a song by Lana Del Rey that came out earlier, and I was just like, what? And then they played the song and I was like, oh no. The song canceled on Taylor's last album, Life of a Showgirl, takes the beat from one of Lorde's old songs. I was like, oh no, honey, no. So I'm gonna tear into Taylor Swift first. Okay, I'll put up a picture of Taylor Swift. Let me do that. I'll put up a picture of Taylor Swift. No, I actually don't want to type her in. I don't want to type her in. I don't want to see her face. I don't want her contributing to my algorithm. So I'll go in incognito mode. Because if one thing Taylor's good at doing that I give her accolades for, it's staying in people's algorithm. She is very good. Like, her team is phenomenal at that, right? Like, she, like, look at this article. The strategic genius of Taylor Swift. Her success is much more than her music, and innovators can learn from it. Yes, let's talk about it. Am I going to read this article? No, I'm not going to read this article. I'm going to be full. I'm probably going to sound ignorant. It sounds ignorant for me saying that I'm not going to read this article, but I really just need this for the picture. Nice eye makeup, by the way. Okay. Because I think I know where this article's going, right? When they say the strategic genius of Taylor Swift, but I need y'all to understand that strategic genius does not always equal talent. And that's the problem I'm having with Miss Swift. That's a problem I've had for years with Taylor, is that I never personally resonated with her music because I could not relate to it at all. I remember when she came out when I was a kid, like in middle school, and then in high school, she kind of like got a kick upward in music. And I do know that people at that time, it would make sense for Taylor to say that her haters at that time did not like her because she was a young girl who did not have the powerhouse of children's television behind her to catapult her into stardom in the way that she has been able to in her early career, right? So you have the Disney Channel factory kids like the Miley Cyruses, the Selena Gomez, the Demi Lovatos, right? And then you have Taylor Swift. And arguably Taylor Swift is in her own arena from the Disney Channel kids television network pushed artists that were coming out around the time. And so yes, she was, even in like when she was like 15, she was more marketable than them and she could really hold her own, right? To an extent, she is an excellent songwriter, but more importantly, she is a brilliant, either she is or her family is or her team, good business person. She knows business, but I'm here to state a claim and state a case that good business does not equal talent. And that's where the disconnect I am having with Taylor Swift, because we can't be 34 talking about high school. We can't be 34 talking about high school. We can't be 34 about to be engaged to America's best football player, okay? Football player of the year, right? And go completely against what we stand for as a woman in our music by smiting other women while other women that dated your now fiance. Like we just can't do that. We can't do that, girl. We can't be writing mediocre lyrics in the way that Life of the Showgirl churned out. Like, we just can't do that. And we can't sit here anymore and pretend like the quality of work and talent is equivalent to the marketing genius of the Taylor Swift brand. We just can't do that anymore. Not in 2026. No. And in 2025, that like, I think people are waking up to that. That Taylor Swift isn't the brand of Taylor Swift is just that, a brand. Outside of that, there isn't much going on. Okay. And it really irks me that, okay, let's back up a little bit before we talk about what irks me. Okay. Taylor is not a strong singer. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. She's not a strong singer. Cannot dance. Okay. All right. Music writing ability, lyrical ability. She writes all her music. Okay. If Taylor Swift sings it, Taylor Swift wrote it. Okay. Is not as good and as genius as a lot of her Swifties would want you to believe. I would argue. Not as good, not as genius as a lot of the Swifties, as a lot of the Taylor Swift apologists, Taylor Swift enthusiasts, Taylor Swift fans would want you to believe. Okay? There's a difference in being a good songwriter versus being able to make a good song. Okay? Okay, there's a difference between like being a good lyricist and being a good songwriter. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? Let's go to Nicki Minaj real quick. Queen by Nicki Minaj let everybody know that Nicki can rap for real. She's a good rapper. All the songs in Queen aren't that good though, except for maybe Chun-Li. And even then it's just like, okay, girl, like, you know, like in my opinion, all right? Queen let everyone know that Nicki can rap for real, if they didn't know already. But there weren't good songs in Queen. Memorable songs, and that's hip-hop, right? Another example is Eminem. Okay, old school Eminem wasn't just rapping, he was making hits. New school Eminem, he's just rapping. Hits are not the way they used to. There is a difference, from what I noticed in hip-hop, there is a difference in being able to be a good lyricist versus being able to make a good song. Everyone remembers J. Cole's No Role Models. The verses go off, but don't save her, she don't want to be like, that's a catchy song. Okay, that's a catchy song. All right, but outside of that, the lyrics kind of hit and go with the style of the song, right? But like newer J. Cole, like nobody, like, you know, his music's good, but it's not as good as like that album that No Role Models was on. Okay. All right, but I'm just setting up an example, okay? Because with hip-hop, I think it's a little bit different. You can still hold space in the hip-hop and still be respected and have accolades, right? And not necessarily write hit-making songs anymore. You know what I mean? Like Nas, J. Cole, Eminem. Like, people still respect those artists and what they've contributed to the hip-hop space. Pop music's a little different. Pop music's very different. You can't do the same with pop music, love. Okay? Pop music is, in my opinion, and this is an unpopular opinion, okay, who isn't, from someone who isn't a music expert, but from just like noticing things in pop culture. In my opinion, pop music, it's imperative for not just the songwriting to be good, but also for the song to be catchy enough and carry the lyrics to make a hit. Okay? Everything's got to be good. All right. Okay. So very quickly, I'm going to make an example. Okay. So, Opalite isn't a good song. Not because of all the microaggressions, but because the beat and like, it's not an original sounding song. Okay, it sounds like retired, reheated Sabrina Carpenter nachos. That's who she's staying around a lot lately. That's what it sounds like. Okay, like you're trying to do like the comedy, like 1980s, the comedic like 1960s, 1970s type of like sitcom-y vibe that maybe Sabrina Carpenter did in Juno, right? Like it's just not hitting. Okay, Chaperone Subway, very well written song. Okay, in a very catchy song. The one thing that you remember from that song at the very end is she goes, she got away, she got away. I can't sing, right? But like you remember that line in the song, and then all the lyrics leading up to it are phenomenal, of her talking about this green-haired girl that she used to have relations with, right? Good Luck Babe is also a very good song. Just the way she builds things up and tells the story of, you know, this girl that she's singing to, that she's had a relationship with, that is choosing a man over her. And when you wake up next to him in the middle of the night with your hands in your head, you're nothing more than his wife. Like, that is genius. She's sliding on the beat. She's sliding on the beat with the head. She is, you know she is. And then you can I don't know the chorus for real, but like good luck, babe. Like you'll have to stop the whole world before you fight the feeling. Good luck, babe. Like that is a well-written song. Not because the lyrics are good, but because the melodies match up to what the lyrics are saying. Like you'll remember that song. That song is memorable, which will lead me to my next point. Taylor Swift doesn't make memorable music. She used to. I think it peaked in maybe like 1989. And then like Love Story and all the music before then. But after that, the music really wasn't at, like, if you take away the payola, I don't want to blame it all on payola. I think, and okay, if you take away the push, the strategic genius of Taylor Swift and her marketing, would y'all really for real remember any of the songs on Lover, on Midnights? I don't know. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. That's the chorus. Even in her last two albums, which was Tortured Poets Department, you don't remember any of those songs, do you? The only song that I would say, okay, she kind of slid on the beat with that one, is Guilty as Sin. That's the only song, right? And then this last album was just not good at all, right? But even leading up to that, I think it was a little disingenuous to lead with Taylor Swift being one of the most groundbreaking songwriters of our generation. When you have songs like The Man, let me pull this song. Okay, I'm gonna pull up the lyrics. I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man. And I'm so sick of them coming at me again, because if I was the man, then I'd be the man. I'd be the man. I'd be the man. Really? Really? Okay, going back real quickly. So I said that I a lot of the memorable like music that has come from Taylor Swift was like 1989 and before. I would say, yeah, memorable and pop hit friendly, right? But then I will give flowers where it's due. Folklore and Evermore, a lot of people gas those albums up because they were very mature. They were very, very mature. And I think that's where people started seeing Taylor Swift as like, a mainstay, as someone that needs to be respected. Before then, I think they were playing in her face. But like, here's the thing. She's never really had talent in the way that some of the people that y'all try to compare her to have the same talent, okay? Taylor Swift is not better than Beyonce. Taylor Swift is not better than Michael Jackson. Both Beyonce and Michael Jackson's are once in a generation talents and pioneers in what they've done and have been able to reinvent the pop genre. Taylor Swift hasn't been able to do any of that. Okay. And I think what gets really frustrating with me seeing like Taylor Swift do her lavish rollouts is that it always feels like she has to insert herself in spaces where she needs not be in. Particularly in hip hop music, R&B, pop music, constantly being compared to Black talent, and now taking it a step further by showing her true intentions with a song like Opalite. Can we talk about Opalite real quick? Because I know I talked about it earlier, but like Opalite is a big, huge microaggression wrapped in a pretty bow towards Kayla Nicole. Doesn't this go against this woman's entire brand of being like a Yas Queen feminist, of being like a girl's girl, of being like, oh, she's so relatable. She's just like your best friend. Like you feel like you can understand her as a person because she's not like this larger than life personality like Beyonce or like any other pop stars to come out. It's like you can really relate to her music. You can relate to her music. She's just like me. She's not like you. She's the furthest thing from you. Okay. Like she's 34, still talking about high school. She's not like you. And she's capitalizing off of that because that's what's been paying her bills. And that's what's able to get her to billionaire status. Okay. She is not like you. She does not have the same level of talent as an MJ or a Beyonce, which is why her marketing team, which is where I'd argue the strategic genius comes in, right? Her marketing team has convinced you that her mediocrity is okay enough to be sensationalized and to be larger than life in a way where she can be comparable to that of a Beyonce and to that of an MJ because she's just relatable enough. No. Taylor's ruined pop music a little bit. I think I'm in a safe space to say that, but this woman has ruined pop music significantly. She has watered it down to sales, more or less, like sales and stan culture that y'all are literally okay with her giving you a golden turd of music and still trying to rationalize why it's good. Life of a Showgirl was reheating Sabrina Carpenter's nachos with a load of microaggressions and undeveloped thoughts. Okay, like that's what it was, and y'all ate it up. Y'all bought the merch and the sweatshirts and the vinyls and the labels and all that. Y'all bought that shit. Y'all bought it. And then you find out in true billionaire fashion, like, see, y'all get surprised when like billionaires tell you who they are, exactly who they are. Y'all crash out when you guys realize that Miss Swift, a lot of her products aren't made up to standard, that allegedly a lot of her products were breaking on her fans because it's mass produced in really cheap facilities out in Taiwan somewhere. But didn't we also shame Beyonce for doing the same thing some years ago with Ivy Park? I'm pretty sure none of Ivy Parkwood's stuff was like falling at the seams in the same way Taylor Swift's overly priced merchandise was. And so that's where I'm like annoyed with the Taylor Swift. Can I say ethos? I'm going to look up the word ethos. That's where I get annoyed with the Taylor Swift. I'm not going to say ethos. The Taylor Swift phenomenon. I'm going to say that. That's where I get annoyed with the Taylor Swift phenomenon. Because she has made money off of the backs of being relatable to y'all. And being able to catapult her relatability as exceptional, which in actuality, the relatable aspect is just her glazing over her mediocrity as an artist, okay? And is able to sit nice and comfortable whether it be from genius marketing strategy with artists who actually work their ass off. And now, and okay, so I'm going to bring it all together. Where I get really pissed off by someone like a Taylor Swift is it's not just that she's trying to insert herself, or her team is trying to insert her into the conversation of pop music, right? It's not that she's trying to insert her space into the Sabrina Carpenters, the Charlie XCXs, the Chappell Roans, the Olivia Rodrigos. She doesn't like Olivia Rodrigo. She's stay antagonizing that woman, right? Like when Olivia was performing Vampire and Taylor Swift's up there dancing, like yeah, she's antagonizing Olivia. Okay, it's not just that she's able to do that, right? But she's in spaces where she does not need to be. Hip hop, urban culture spaces. This is the third time. And so going back to the video I saw of the guy who was commentating on Doechii and the Aiden Ross beef, and how Doechii is basically this new rising star coming out, and there's a lot against her, and you know, a lot of people are her ops, and how this hip hop commentator compared Doechii's you know, prophesized hero's journey, right, to that of Taylor Swift's hero's journey. That's where I get pissed off, because why are you taking the light away from Doechii to highlight Taylor Swift? Why are you comparing this black woman to a white woman who has a completely different trajectory of a career than she did? Let's call a thing a thing. Taylor Swift has always been moving off of the idea of haters, me versus the haters. The haters don't like me. And it was able to work because of what happened in the 2008 VMA Awards with Kanye West, when he was like, I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce did significantly better with her music video, all of that. Whether he was right or not, that was a horribly disrespectful move that he did to Taylor. He should have never done that. But she has been riding off of the coattails of that for years, up until the point where Miss Ma'ams might be pushing 40. And the next couple years, she's going to be pushing 40, talking about high school and infantilizing herself. The Taylor Swift bubble is popping, guys. I need you to get on board. I don't want you to get left behind. The bubble's going to pop in the next few years or so. Okay? And I'm not even going to compare her to Doechii. I'm going to just talk about what I noticed about Taylor. Her moving off of the facade or the brand of it's me versus the haters. F the haters, they're awful, right? You know? The haters have some truth though, okay? Taylor's career got started. Okay, I can't keep looking at Taylor. I'm so sorry, girl. Okay, so Taylor's career got started because nobody wanted to pick her in a record label. Okay, so her parents are really wealthy, well-to-do. Her dad works with BlackRock. Okay, so like she comes from money. Something I'm noticing about a lot of the artists that don't get got right is that they already start with money. Beyonce is another one of those artists that she already came from wealth, so it was easy to catapult off of that. Kim Kardashian came from wealth. It was easier for her and the Kardashians to catapult off that as well. Taylor Swift came from wealth. But not just wealth, but connections. Her dad worked with media companies like BlackRock, I believe. Oh, no. Sorry. Excuse me. He was a financial advisor for Merrill Lynch, but I'm pretty sure he had ties to... He was a stockbroker and a vice president at Merrill Lynch for decades, but he's had ties to a lot of the networking. He's had wealth, right? Like, let's just put it at that. Like, he's had wealth. That, you know, having wealth is it allows for her to be able to move in the space of music a lot easier than somebody who doesn't have wealth. Hip hop on its own, I just want to put this in, hip hop on its own, a lot of those artists don't come from wealth. So already to have Taylor Swift be compared to an artist that's in the hip hop space, weird to me. They didn't start off wealthy like Miss Swift did. Okay. So there's that. All right. But also, I'm going to say allegedly on this, but this is what the streets have said. Taylor Swift wasn't that talented as a singer, right? Her parents put her through a lot of singing lessons, guitar lessons, and apparently she wasn't talented enough for a record label to pick her up. Okay. And so what her dad does is move their whole family from Pennsylvania to Tennessee and have her start doing country music, right? And then they start the Big Machine Records record label that, surprise, surprise, Taylor Swift is signed on to. So Taylor Swift is a Nepo baby to a record label that she signed on to, already has the upper hand because daddy is paying for the label that she is signed to, okay? Versus any other label that is a part, or any other talent that is a part of Big Machine Records who does not have that privilege. If your father is a stakeholder in the company, of course he's going to do everything in his power to protect you. Of course he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that you win all the awards you need, get all the sales you need, get the best marketing team. Of course. That's just business, right? But that's the problem. It's just business. It's not talent. Okay? If the streets are saying that you are not talented enough at the very least to be picked up by any record label, that it got so bad you had to run away to country, okay, and then create your own record label and have daddy create a record label for you so that you can cosplay a pop star, all right, that's not giving the haters were against me. That's giving daddy bought my career. And daddy brought the marketing team. Okay, like daddy bought the marketing team to convince us all that there have been haters against me and that I am the underdog and that my strategic genius is me just being an okay enough artist. And of course I need to be sitting next to the Beyoncés and the MJs and the Olivia Rodrigos and the SZAs of the world. Like, of course I need to be sitting next to those girls. Of course I need to win a Grammy album award over To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. Of course. Because the genius of my marketing team is convincing y'all that I'm that good, when in actuality I don't think she was ever as good as y'all have led her on to be. I think her strong suit has always been marketing. That has always been her strong suit, whether she's behind it or her family's behind it. I don't care. Her strong suit has always been marketing. But the problem now is people are wisening up to how marketing works. Okay. And when your current image isn't reflecting what you want people to believe about you, that's when there's a disconnect. That's when the bubble pops. That's when the bubble pops. When your whole brand is centered around you being just relatable enough and, oh shucks, girl next door, I'm just a girl and life is so hard and Kanye West embarrassed me at the VMAs and that's just awful. I'm just doing my best, right? And then you're able to rake in $1 billion net worth tour, a tour that catapults you into billionaire status. That's where the disconnect stops working. When people are wisening up to, okay, why is this girl keep coming out with album after album after album and they all suck? They all are not good. And I think it's not going to stop with Life of a Showgirl. I think she's going to keep going and it's going to get worse. Okay, the bubble is popping. The brand is fizzling out. Now, if daddy's able to buy you a record label, and if daddy is able to buy you an awesome marketing team, or maybe you're the head of the marketing team to convince you that your relatability is comparable to another pop star's exceptionalism, right? Who's to say that you're not paying off all these articles to also call you a genius in doing that as well? Okay. And so I'm going back to the Doechii thing real quick and comparing Taylor to Doechii, because it's not just the Taylor comparisons to Doechii. It's hearing Taylor be talked about in the hip hop ethos. I think I used that word correctly this time. That's the issue I have. That woman has nothing in common with hip hop, R&B, music and urban spaces. Like, I'm so sorry. She has nothing in common with that. Why do you keep bringing her up? Why am I looking at this black male hip hop artist, this black man hip hop commentator, excuse me, who has another black woman on his platform talking about the success of Doechii, and you almost immediately compare her success to that of Taylor Swift? What are we doing here? What is going on exactly? Doechii is a hungry female rapper from Tampa. Sorry. A hungry female rapper from Tampa Bay, Florida. Okay, that's who Doechii is. Taylor Swift, who did not come from money. Doechii did not come from money. She had to keep grinding and grinding for years and years on end before the industry saw her influence and pushed her. Okay? Taylor Swift is a wealthy white girl from Pennsylvania that had the resources for her daddy to pick up everything and move her to Nashville, Tennessee, to bulldoze her way into the music industry, start a record label, and have her like the mainstay talent, right? And promote her to be as big as some of the most exceptional pop artists of our time period, infiltrate spaces within pop music where she need not to, antagonizing some of the newer pop girlies that she feels threatened by, and then infiltrating spaces of hip-hop music when you know damn well nobody that listens to hip-hop like that is high-key bumping Taylor on repeat. Okay? If you're listening to young NBA Youngboy, you're not bumping 1989 afterwards or Life of a Showgirl afterwards. You're just not. You're just not. No. You can't convince me. Maybe a few, but not everybody. Okay? Why am I seeing, because this is the third time it's happened, okay? The first time I saw it was with a content creator who created a whole video on what hip-hop artists, again, we know that hip-hop is a predominantly black subculture made by predominantly black people, okay? And a lot of those black people who make that type of music, they are coming from nothing. Why are you making a video on what future hip-hop artists can learn from somebody like a Taylor Swift, when you know that future hip-hop artists probably will not have the same amount of resources that a Taylor Swift, had under her pinky toe when she was like 5 years old? Like, what are we doing? That's where I get annoyed with the Taylor Swift phenomenon, okay? With the Taylor Swift culture, with the Taylor Swift bubble. That it's not that she's antagonizing Olivia Rodrigo. It's not that one time when SZA was hitting the charts and Taylor Swift's taking a picture with SZA and SZA's uncomfortable AF, all right? It's not even that she's getting compared. Well, no, it is that she's getting compared to that of MJ and that of Beyonce. It is a little bit of that. But where I have to lay down the law and be like, what is going on here? Who needs to get cut a check is when you have hip hop commentators shoehorning Taylor Swift into a conversation where she need not be, and you know damn well she doesn't need to be in that. That's where I get upset. That's where I get annoyed. That's where I'm like, what are we doing for realsies though? For realsies, what actually are we doing? Because like, she is not, does anything about Taylor give hip hop? Did any of her music ever give hip hop? She did that one song with Kendrick Lamar and maybe Ed Sheeran and Future, but that's it that I remember. And she had Nicki Minaj come out on stage with her, I guess, and that's it. Why do you keep shoehorning this woman into hip hop spaces and comparing black hip hop artists or prospective black hip hop artists to her success? When it's time to be real and address the fact, a lot of them are not going to have the same success that a Taylor has because they don't have the money. They don't have a rich daddy. A rich daddy that used to be a financial advisor for Merrill Lynch, and a marketing mother, a mother who was into marketing. They don't have that. Okay? Like, that pisses me off. I'm so sorry. And I don't care if some of the things I said about Taylor were harsh. I do not care. I do not care, because she has shown her true colors, linking herself to Travis Kelce. Have you picked up on that? That man is embarrassing her in real time. I predict that in the next couple years or so, if they do get married, it's not going to last long, or they're going to end things, because you can't be a Yas Queen feminist or a Yas Queen I'm here for the girls and then be like, hee hee ha ha, I got the ring though, Kayla Nicole. Punching down isn't cute. And that's the problem. She's no longer a underdog character in pop culture. She is the dog. She is the man, as she would put it, right? Like, she's made it. She can't lean on that branding forever of, oh shucks, it's just me, just a girl, can barely hold a note, can barely play the guitar, can barely dance, but I'm here and I win all these album of the year awards. I'm that girl. I'm the underdog. It's like, girl, no, you're here now. You're billionaire status, ma'am. You're billionaire status. Okay. You are who you've been trying to go up against. The system, you are the system now. You are the industry now. And what's unfortunate is that it's one thing if you're the industry and the music's good, right? So like Beyonce, for example, if Beyonce was able to finesse the charts the way Taylor is able to, right? I'd be like, well, I don't really like it, but at least the music's good. Taylor's music isn't good. Okay. It's just not good. It hasn't been good for a while. I think that we did a U-turn when Folklore and Evermore came out, and then Midnight's era came out after that. Like, Folklore and Evermore, we should have kept going in that direction. The more mature sound, that's where we needed to keep going. Midnight's, Tortured's Poets Department, and now Life of the Showgirl are all trash. They're all trash. Okay, well, yeah. I didn't really like Midnight's. I didn't see the hype. And every time I listen to Taylor Swift and I see like Taylor Swift do her marketing tour, especially around the time where she has to tour again, every time I see that, I'm like, I don't see the hype. And I just don't think it's fair, especially for Black commentators, to try and compare this woman to other Black talent in a way that seems so obviously forced. I just don't think that's fair. So that's how I feel about that. I'm not going to talk about which video I saw that in, but I was just a little disgusted. Okay, I was a little disgusted because it just seems like, and maybe it's on my algorithm though, I don't think so, the Taylor Swift bubble is popping. I predict in the next couple years Taylor's gonna lose her fans. She's gonna lose the child audience because she's married. Okay, she can no longer cosplay a teenager. She's gonna lose the liberal Yes Queen feminist artists who or feminist fans who supported her in the 2010s as she was coming up, because of who she is tying herself with. Like, already it's came out that some of her friends or her boyfriend's friends, her fiance's friends, Travis Kelce, are associating themselves with Proud Boys. Don't be surprised if Taylor Swift gives MAGA. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. And then her just so clearly And see, this is also where I get pissed off in you comparing Taylor Swift to yet another black woman, especially when the song Opalite is basically her comparing herself to black women that she is not, and saying that she's better for her fiance Travis Kelce. You've already, and this is just a tip to the girly pops out there, if you have to heckle the exes of your current partner in order to present yourself as better, you've already lost the war. If there even was one. You've already lost, period. Not only is Taylor punching down, but she's making it very clear that she is somehow better than the black girls that she feels intimidated by in the song Opalite. And the Swifties would like to, run circles around why that's not true, but it's true. It's true. That song is awful. And you're punching down, and so the veil should have lifted for a lot of y'all when it came out that Taylor Swift was dating Travis Kelce, and there was an immediate, visceral, violent reaction from incels who scooped in and brought up how Kayla Nicole, Travis Kelce's ex, was a gold digging Instagram whore like that, and Taylor not coming and be like, hey, don't do that. Yeah, she dated him, but that's okay. Has Taylor ever been a girl's girl for real? Anyone who talks about men too much to the extent that she has never been a girl's girl. Yet I find it funny because Ariana Grande gets caught in this cheating scandal and everyone's like, she's not a girl's girl. And for that, no, not really. But has Taylor ever really given girl's girl? Again, the veil is lifting. The brand of who she is as an artist is going to lift if she keeps going at the rate that she's at. Okay, in the next couple years or so, she's gonna have to go full MAGA. She's gonna have to it's not gonna people aren't gonna be able to relate to you. You can only cosplay as a teenager for so long, and I just think the reason why I'm uncomfortable with the comparisons of Taylor versus Doechii is that it's yet again Taylor Swift trying to come someone coming in using Taylor Swift as an example to compare her to another black woman when we know full well that Taylor came from a significant amount of privilege to get to where she is. Okay, unpopular opinion. I'm so sorry. Okay. And it's also one of those read the room situations. Life of a Showgirl, even though it took over the charts, I don't people pay positions to get on the charts, right? I don't think people enjoyed Life of the Showgirl in the way that her marketing team would want you to think, in my personal opinion. And I also think that is a prime example of why we need to be very careful about reading the room and what's actually going on. I want to talk about this video real quickly because I thought it was an interesting video, but I also thought that there were a lot of things that I disagreed with. It's going viral. The video of the year, the Great Culture Shift. Okay. So it's this video, the Great Culture Shift, right? But here's the thing. So many people are reviewing this video. I actually found this video from these guys talking about this video, and I wanted to see what they had to say. I feel okay. I don't mean to be that girl, but I feel like this video was forced on a lot of people to react to. I don't know. That's just the vibe. But it's this video here. The Great Culture Shift. Okay, and so I watched it. And in this video, it was very, very interesting. Because he talks about how Dupley talks about how there is a shift from how we once viewed culture from things being very, very progressive, very left leaning, offering a lot of hope and inspiration, right? To now things being more conservative, and being more, ruthless and, cruel in a way. Though he does not portray the culture shift from progressivism to conservatism as cruel. He presents it as, oh well, we're just swinging more to the right now, oh well. And there's a lot of good, interesting points. Something I do agree with him about this video is that at the height of, I'm gonna just get the webcam up, at the height of progressivism doing well, which I want to say in like the mid to late 2010s. I'd honestly argue, yeah, late 2010s is when it did really, really well, right? At its height, I started seeing some issues with progressivism and the way people were holding prominent individuals accountable. Folks would, back then we were calling it cancel culture. And I've always been of the belief that cancel culture does not really exist, that you're only as canceled as the money you have in your bank account and the connections that you have around you, right? Don't believe me? Look at Dave Chappelle. It's how many years have we been dunking? This man has been dunking on trans people for about a decade now. He didn't get canceled. Like, cancel culture doesn't exist, right? But that's what we were calling it. We were calling it cancel culture, right? And it really was just a formal way of saying that we're holding people accountable for the problematic things that that have been done. We're not standing for it anymore. Okay. And the problem that came with that is that, yes, some big monumental people who have done awful things were brought to task and held accountable. People like Weinstein, R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, got taken down by the Me Too movement. Okay. Absolutely. But we also had a lot of like internal fighting as well. And I think the biggest criticism that I've had about progressivism and leftism is that it's a lot of moral grandstanding at the end of the day. A lot of Twitter warriors and a lot of moral grandstanding. And that's not everybody, but I've always been of the belief that there's no such thing as a perfect ally, and that there's only that internet activism, while it has a place, is not real activism if it's not warranting change in the way that it needs to. Okay, that like you typing a spicy tweet on Twitter, right, and then you going back and forth with a couple people circa 2018 and then jumping to the conclusion that this is like a Nazi, fascist, whatever, all right, is not really conducive to what needs to be done in order for things to change in this world, in order for things to change in this country, America. You're not contributing, you're a part of the problem. You kind of have to get out there. You have to, put your money where your mouth is. Take out your money in places that do not stand or defend you. I think the problem with a lot of like the online left, which had the most impact around this time, especially with things like cancel culture, is that it seemed like a moral grandstand in competition for who is the most morally just and who is the most politically correct. And it almost felt like in some cases, if you said one thing out of whack, if you said something like, oh, I like the Harry Potter games, or I went to Universal Studios and I went to Harry Potter Land, and you posted it on Twitter or anywhere else, it's like, why would you go to Harry Potter Land? We're canceling J.K. Rowling over here. She's transphobic. Absolutely. I don't really support J.K. Rowling like that. But like this, and this is a real thing, I most definitely went to Harry Potter Land. I got my money's worth. It doesn't mean that I agree with anything that J.K. Rowling has done. No. But like, I'm gonna get my money's worth. It's like in the same way, it's like selectively picking outrage, right? You don't like J.K. Rowling and you have every right not to. And so everybody else has to not like them, right? Because like, and it's these same people that will probably make an excuse for, so like Taylor Swift or someone like Nicki Minaj, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just, the problem that I've always had with progressivism online is that it just boils down to gnarly harassment and making sure you're on the right side of history as a performance instead of actually getting shit done. Remember the little black square from BLM? Remember that? Remember how all your favorite YouTubers were talking about how BLM and Black Lives Matter and we got to care about this stuff now. And then fast forward 5 years later, because they got enough money from a different side, they can now say in confidence that they're going to be voting for Donald J. Trump, something that BLM was absolutely against, the movement at least. If you were to say around the time when BLM was in its prime, which was in the 2020s when George Floyd passed away, right? If you were to say that BLM as an organization sucks, but the movement still matters, right? You would have gotten canceled all the way online. However, fast forward to 2025, and we realized that the founder of BLM had been using a lot of that money to fund their own personal endeavors and did not use much of that money to help contribute to the police reform that they said that they promised their donators that they would do. I mean, like, it's still BLM the movement, but it's not BLM the organization. And it's unfortunate because I still know some of my left-leaning progressive friends out here who don't know that. That's why BLM imploded, because a lot of what the BLM organization, again, the campaign organization, not the movement, a lot of the BLM organization was giving, like, hoarding the money, giving it to politicians, allegedly, and not giving it back to the families who were affected or impacted by police violence. Did not solve the issue of police reform at all. That's if you were to say that in 2020, canceled. I just watched the movie Gone with the Wind. I think for a minute that was off of streaming services because it was, like, it's the Civil War South, and their slaves, right? I watched it for the first time yesterday. That movie was dope. Okay, but like, hear me out. Okay, that movie was dope, okay? But it's still problematic, right? Like, I did not like, there was like one scene, there were some scenes, we'll talk about it later, that I was just like, oh girl, I don't like that. That makes me feel uncomfortable. But if I said I like Gone with the Wind in 2020, I would have been canceled. But let's be real here. Those costumes were beautiful. That movie had a lot of good cinematography, and those costumes were beautiful. Okay? And I think we can respect the art of something without agreeing with the intent. Okay, like, I think we can do that. I think that's good media literacy. If you understand that Gone with the Wind was supposed to be a trauma response to, the deep South, old South losing, and and so a lot of the things that they're showing are being romanticized, like the slavery and all of that are being romanticized through their eyes. Yes, that's bad. Yes, that's creepy. But also the movie was well done. Like, I'm allowed, both things can exist at once. And I think this is what I'm going to lead to. the problem with a lot of the accountability culture of the late 2010s into the 2020s, early 2020s, and then leading into like, and how it bled into progressivism, right, is that it started to be a lot less of shades of gray and black and white, right? And that's where it got weird. That's where it got weird. And it even started to bleed into real life. I had a friend at the time who kicked another person out of the entire group chat for being a nurse, right? And before, okay. Just a disclaimer, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, okay? I'm not an anti-vaxxer, all right? Just disclaimer, okay? But if you came out and said you were an anti-vaxxer in 2020, you would have been eaten up. But this is an anti-vaccine adjacent type story. This person was a nurse, right? And she basically said, okay, COVID vaccine, I would just do your research on it. Somebody in the group chat had said that they had concerns because they were immunocompromised and they didn't know if they needed to take the COVID vaccine, right? And the nurse, right, who works in the hospital, who's in the ground floor, who knows what's going on, basically said, okay, do your research. I recommend you get the vaccine, but just do your research because there's just some things that are coming out about the vaccine that you might want to be considerate of. Okay. And because everyone was pro-vaccine, the left was very, very strong on if you get the vaccine, if you don't stand with vaccinations, you are a horrible person, right? One of my friends at the time had kicked that person out of the group chat for saying that. And I think that's when I got into the group chat. I don't do group chats like that anymore. That shit's too ghetto for me. But I was just like that's where we're at. Where that's how radicalized we are. We can't see the shades of gray. She gave you a shades of gray answer. It's not that she said, no, don't take the vaccine. She just said, I would be wary of the vaccine. I would do your research before taking the vaccine, as you should with anything. That's the problem that I've always had with the left in their prime, is that a lot of performative leftists got really like drunk on power and started attempting to hold the people accountable left and right on things that really didn't matter. You know what I mean? In the long term. And I'm not talking about like vaccinations and stuff. I'm talking about like little petty things, like whatever Gabby Hanna's doing on YouTube, right? And so people obviously got tired of that. I didn't think the solution would be to go back to conservatism, which is where we're at right now. And so in this video, they talk about how things in culture are changing. They mention Ariana Grande, how she used to, you know, have a black set and cosplay a black woman, which she absolutely did. This my cookie, this my juice. Like, who is Ariana Grande? I love her down, but like after this Glinda era, I need her to just tell us who she is, because this is crazy, right? That's my cookie, that's my juice. Okay. And then later on down the line, let me see if I can find it. So things were very and that's my cookie, that's my juice era, we were very left leaning. We were very into hip hop culture. We were very into, you know, diversity and all that. So obviously Ariana Grande is going to cosplay. She's going to cosplay a mixed girl, right? Like that's what she's going to give with black scent and all.
Do you want to take
oh shit,
it's really important. I'm a huge advocate for mental health on this page. You guys,
Talia, why are you promoting BetterHelp?
Everything is about.
Okay, now we got Glinda era Ariana Grande, and she's a whole white woman now. And that's how you know that we at like the cultural shift has changed. We are now full throttle into conservatism, blonde hair, blue eyes is in, all of that, right? And I gotta agree, bro. I gotta agree. Like, who the hell is Ariana Grande for real? But where I disagree in some things is presenting the culture shift of conservatism as better, which I think is the problem with this video, is that it presents conservatism as the better alternative. Okay. And it's not. And they even use an example. So I'm gonna zoom over here, because a lot of this is talking about hip hop music, right? But they mentioned Sydney Sweeney and how Sydney Sweeney had gotten canceled for going to her mother's, I guess, conservative birthday party, which, like, if you have parents and relatives, like, they're not going to be on the same politics as you, unfortunately, most of the time. And some people are willing to cut their family off completely. Some people just kind of don't do that, you know, and that's unfortunate. But attempting to cancel someone for that, as somebody who has parents who are very socially conservative, relatives who are incredibly homophobic, like, I don't know. I would just, like, initially with Sydney Sweeney, I was like, I don't think this is warranted a thorough cancellation because she wants to go to her mom's birthday party, like, in my opinion, right? And that's just my opinion, okay? But that's the level of accountability that we were running off of in the 2010s, when leftism, progressivism, and especially online progressivism was at its peak, right? And you can even see some more tidbits of it now with how we are consuming media, especially in like left spaces. D'Angelo Wallace came on YouTube and he talked about the reason why he left was because people were misinterpreting the video he did about fast food, and people thought because he was mentioning Starbucks that he was somehow a Zionist, which was the furthest thing from. And I think that reaction has come a lot from how we're receiving news on social media, but also kind of started with online progressivism radicalizing things and trying to put things in boxes of black and white instead of seeing the shades of gray of the situation. Right? You know what I mean? And so they have Sydney Sweeney in this video. Let me see if I can find it. In the beginning. Okay, I don't think I can find it, but they allude to the time when Sydney Sweeney was birthday party controversy. So I'm gonna see if I can pull up the part. Okay, yeah. Okay, so they pulled the time where she was at her mother's birthday party, and I guess one of her uncles was MAGA. The people who brought the things that people were upset about were actually my mom's friends from LA who have kids walking outside the Pride Parade, and they thought it would be funny to wear because they were coming to Idaho. Okay, so like this is just like a crazy level of canceling, right? That's like looking at my mom who has a party or an event, and then like she brings her coworkers and they wear a MAGA hat and she's like blindsided, and then you go to me, right, and you're like, Exes, why did your mom bring those people at the party? And I'm like, well, girl, I'm blindsided with you. I don't know those people. So her trying to be canceled for this was weird. All right, holding her accountable for something like this, like what do you want her to do for real? Like that's weird, right? But then they bring it back. This video who starts off where the commentator starts off saying Sydney Sweeney was canceled for going to a party where somebody wore a MAGA hat. Starts off with that where it's a little ridiculous, right? But then they end with the, let me see where I'm gonna go, Sydney Sweeney, American Eagle. But then they get into I guess to wrap things around for a circle, this and how basically Sydney Sweeney had won the culture war. Remember, pants have been passed down from parents to offspring, or genes, and, you know, fascism, right? And that's where I'm like, okay, so this video is wrong, because I would argue that as soon as Sydney Sweeney came out with this American Eagle advertisement, she was on the trajectory of going down after that. This came out. Then she did the movie about the boxer. God, I don't even know the boxer's name. That was supposed to be her I, Tonya Harding moment, by the way. That, you know, remember Margot Robbie when she wanted to be taken seriously as an actress? And so she produced the Tonya Harding movie, I, Tonya. That was that movie about the boxer. That was supposed to be her I, Tonya moment. But it flopped. It flopped horribly. It flopped awfully. Nobody went to see it because she had been working up her whole brand to pander to the conservative male gaze. It didn't start with American Eagle jeans. It started with tidbits of her tidbits of her probably being MAGA with her mom, right? Or might of being MAGA with her mom, which probably at that time when this controversy came out, I was like, people are being a little ridiculous. Like, maybe she's not MAGA because her mom's friends are wearing these hats. That's weird, right? And then prior to that, she had the Sasquatch ad with the bath water, right? And everyone was like, okay, so why are you hypersexualizing yourself, right? And even then, I was still on her side. I was like, okay, I don't think the argument should be hypersexualizing herself. I think the argument should be dibbling and dabbling into swipe work when it's convenient, knowing full well that women who do these types of things get villainized for it. Similar to the women who were judging Sydney Sweeney for selling bathwater to begin with. Those are the same women who would shame swipe workers who are making money who do the similar acts, right? That was my whole argument about it, right? And then we get here, and then it's just like, oh, okay. Okay. It's getting weird. And then after this, I don't think she's been able to recover. When she did an interview for her movie, and the interviewer was asking her, do you want to say anything about like white supremacy? Like, do you stand for that? Do you have anything to say? And the way she was like, I'm trying to put on my best Sydney Sweeney impression. I'll make a statement when I'm ready to, right? Like, just very aloof. Sydney's not doing good. Like the great culture shift, like this video saying, oh no, actually Sydney Sweeney's on top because conservatism. No. Again, someone else I give maybe like 2 to 3 years, and we'll probably never hear from her again after this Euphoria run. Euphoria's coming out in March, by the way. I don't know if I want to watch that, but I probably will. But after this Euphoria run, girl, I don't think we're gonna hear from her for a while. And here's the thing. It's not that, for me, you want to be MAGA, whatever, okay? It's the quality of work that you're putting out, right? Sydney Sweeney isn't that good of an actress. I thought she was. She was in Handmaid's Tale. I don't know what happened after that. I have no idea what happened to that girl after Handmaid's Tale. Like, okay, season 2 Euphoria, good acting, right? But then after that, after season 2 Euphoria, it just got worse for her. I was like, girl, like, this isn't good. Like, you can't act for real. I thought you could, but you can't. So, yeah, personally, I think the Great Culture Shift video kind of gets a lot of things wrong, as far as how we're feeling about the culture lately. I do agree. The video says that we're looking for authenticity. Absolutely. But I think we're realizing that whether you are progressive or conservative, right? We're all getting fucked over. Like, the people on the ground floor are all getting fucked over. And so it's not a left versus right thing. It's not a red versus blue thing. It's very much so poor versus rich type of situation, you know what I mean? And whether you're rich and conservative or rich and liberal, you're still going to get this heat, right? It's why when they released the Epstein files, a lot of people were like, I don't care if my favorite like progressive is in the files, release the files. And I don't blame them. God, I don't talk about Epstein enough on here. I don't. Mostly because this is going to be a closing statement and then I'm going to end things. Okay. Mostly because I don't talk about a lot of Epstein stuff on here because it's exhausting. And because I had a feeling deep down inside that, I knew it would have gotten to the point that those files would have never been released. Whether you voted blue or you voted red, those files weren't going to be released because it wasn't about protecting particular politicians on a certain side. It was about protecting powerful people. And power doesn't have a politic. Power just has power. You know what I mean? And so whether you were brainwashed into believing that the liberals were the ones behind the Epstein files and that Trump was going to come in and release all the info and insight on who's on those files, and most of them are liberals, whether you believe that Trump, well, this isn't even a belief, this is a fact, Trump was on the files and a lot of his comrades were in the files too. Whatever you believed about who was gonna do the right thing about the Epstein files being released, I feel like you were going to be lied to regardless, whether Biden was going to release those files, whether Trump was going, whether Biden was going to, whether Biden avoided releasing those files, whether Trump avoided releasing those files. That should have been expected all across the board from people, older boomer generation people, hoarding a bunch of wealth with a significant amount of power and a significant amount of connections. It has never, ever been a right versus blue situation. It's always been a poor versus rich situation. Yeah. And if rich people don't want things to get out, they're going to protect each other, no matter what politics they have or what side they're on. That's just a fact. That's just what it is. And so I know over the break, I heard a lot about Epstein, and I heard a lot about how they're finally going to release the files and, you know, tidbits that they've been releasing weekly. But I think what really just kind of was a big WTF moment for me is that there were literal conservatives who believed that Trump wasn't on that list. They believed that with their whole chest. This man had been taking pictures with him, Epstein, writing letters to this man. And they're like, oh, well, he just had to be a friend. Like, they were like cartwheels. Simone Biles level of gymnastic routines to jump through hoops to try and defend why Trump wasn't the op to begin with. What? Are we for real? Are we for realsies right now? Really? You really believe that with your whole chest that Trump would have stormed in there and released all the Epstein files, even though you know damn well his name is on there? Like, what, did you think that the hated liberals would be the only ones released? No. I think I'm dumbfounded by how stupid people actually are and how stupid people are becoming. I think I'm genuinely dumbfounded just by how, you know, like TikTok, for an example, how it radicalizes people. I love TikTok down. Okay. But TikTok do be radicalizing people. Platforms like Twitter do be very much so radicalizing people. You could be radicalized by a YouTube video, a podcast. You could just be radicalized by anything now. And people are so willing to believe it. They're not checking. They're not doing research. You really can get on the internet now and be like, I am Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior. And people will believe and give money. The rapture, TikTok. That's a perfect example of that. They believed the world was going to end a couple months back. And obviously it didn't, but that's just an example of what we're dealing with right now. Is that people genuinely believe because some random individual on the internet that we don't know, haven't heard of, didn't even have any connections with the church like that, for real. Everyone was like, oh yeah, the rapture's coming because he said so. Why? Because he just spoke with enough conviction and he looked trustworthy. What the fuck? This is why I don't fuck with organized religion anymore. This is why I'm deconstructing. And it sucks to deconstruct. It's hard. It hurts so bad. But I don't know. I feel like Christianity, the fake Christians at least, I don't want to offend anybody's faith. I just feel like the fake Christians are really showing themselves. Yeah, but anyway. Okay, so this was the party. Okay, so this is the party Sydney Sweeney was invited to, I guess. Okay. Like, first of all, okay. I don't mean to like make light of things, but okay, there's a person in the background with the Make America Great Again hat. Okay. And then she's like smiling with her mom. What made you think that she, like, this is like MAGA written all over it. Like, of course I'd expect someone to come in with a red hat. Like, I don't know. Yeah, as someone from North Idaho, her being like fourth generation North Idahoan and having a super red relative. Yeah, like, that's like with my family, because my family is incredibly homophobic, right? Christmas dinner, someone's gonna dunk on trans people. That's why I don't go home for Christmas anymore. But like, there's some people who haven't gotten to that point yet. There's some people who live with their parents. There's some people like, you gotta, like, you can't glaze over everything with a black and white mentality. You have to see the shades of gray. And I do think the time when Sydney Sweeney went to her mom's birthday party and the one MAGA red hatter in the background, that was a little weird. That was a little weird. At the very least, I would have, like, I would have, if I were her, I would have been like, you got to get out of this. You're a liability. You know what I mean? But I guess another example of that is that one of my other friends, her grandmother passed away, and her grandmother was like grade A bigot. White Southern woman in her 80s. Honestly, I'm not surprised, right? And you know, of course she's sad about it because her grandmother raised her. Like, if one of my homophobic family members passed away, I'm going to be sad. I'm allowed to be sad about that, right? And I think one of my other friends was like, oh, well, F her. She was an awful person anyway. She was a bigot, wah, 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 and she's terrible. And I'm going to keep dunking on her family members on Facebook or something. And I'm just like, okay, we gotta, again, I think if I had to argue what the biggest issue with progressivism has been, it has always been that we jump to really big conclusions. And it's almost like, I feel like the reason why the left fell off is that we forgot that people can't be human. like when it comes to certain things, that your politics, sometimes your life isn't always going to match up with your politics, right? And I don't mean in any way, shape, or form that like, you know, you promote leftism online and then offline you're over here at MAGA campaigns. Like, no, that's not what I mean. Or, you know, being a complete racist, bigot, fascist, like that's not what I mean. What I mean is that there's no such thing as the perfect ally, and where the left on the internet messed up is demanding that everyone in their circle be the perfect ally. And if they weren't, they were met with shame and ridicule and cancellation. Accountability, right? But it really isn't accountability if you keep dunking on people for making mistakes, right? You know what I mean? And when I say dunking, I don't mean like, hey, maybe not say that. I mean like sending death threats, you know? I just don't think that's conducive. And obviously people are going to stray or feel pressured to stray away from that culture, right? But I don't think that's nearly as bad as what's going on with conservatives right now, where they're just outright cruel. I guess my question is, when do we get to the point where things are just like in the middle, where we're not like overly cruel in the way that conservatives are, but then we're not demanding so much from everyday people who might not know a lot about politics but would like to learn, and not have this air of like, how do you say it? It's like talking down on somebody. Air of inferiority. Yeah. I think that's the word, inferiority, towards people who would like to lean more left for not being morally just enough. You know what I mean? For not moral grandstanding enough. Like there has to be an in between, but it's very weird. It seems like when the pendulum swings left, there's no black and white. When the pendulum swings left and it doesn't work, everyone thinks the solution is to just go back to the right. And it's like, no, it's level out, maybe figure out what went wrong on the left and try to do better. Like, but that's not how things work, unfortunately. Okay, but I'm done here. I've talked as much as I can. I'm tired. I gotta put up my hair and, I don't know, wipe my lip gloss off. But this is all I have to talk to you guys about for today. I'll come back on Thursday and we will start some gaming, unless I have more things to rant about. But I've talked about all the topics I needed to. Thank you for letting me rant for as long as I did. I will see you guys on Thursday, and we will do some Reddit Story Sundays on Friday, okay? Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Bye.